video for you.
I'm trying to get him to come on, but he's just works a lot in the shifts and timing. Let me see what he's doing right now. I think he's still at work. Let me just send him a random. All right, let's see what that little fucker says. Yeah, so when I streamed her a little while ago, I just caught her midstream. So apparently it was 30 minutes before that, which I knew was there. I just wasn't going to bother with it. But somebody said she complained about me or whatever or something. So I'm interested. So give it a couple of minutes here, or a minute or so, and then I'll just run the video. Feel free, whoever's here, feel free to share or notify some of the folks, because I did say I was coming on at midnight, but I just wanted to, I wasn't doing anything, so I might as well get online. That's Bam calling. All right, that was Bam. Yeah, he's on his way home, and then he got to be back to work at 7 a.m. and he'll get home in about an hour. So yeah, not much sleep. But he said Tuesday we'll do something, so I will make that announcement. Anyway, I've got the video. Let me just get this thing going. Ready? Ready. And yes, I will kill the music. Don't worry.
Hi, Diane. Hi, Heather. Oh, thank you. I'm going to show y'all right now. Hi, Dolores. How are you? Hi, Patty. Where did I put the... Where have the ceiling?
Wait, what is that?
Hi, how's everybody doing? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Methicillin
Thank
resistant
you. I woke up really
Staphylococcus
sore.
aureus.
Hello, this is Vanessa Tijerina.
I think I got it.
You live here in the Rio Grande Valley, South Texas.
Right now it's 11:23 my time, Central Time.
I've been deactivated, and I reactivated last night because I had an accident. I was doing spring cleaning. I'm on a hiatus from social media, and I did this.
Yeah, right. Lynn, I see your comment here. You know, the more and more I think about it, the more and more we may possibly make the move to YouTube exclusively. So yeah, I know a lot of folks are not fans of the YouTube system. I don't know why. I know you don't have profiles like Facebook and all that stuff, but just as far as a streaming platform and viewing videos and stuff, I think that might be the way to go. I've been saying this for a few years now, and I threatened to switch over, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago maybe. And it's funny because I got a lot of people that said, well, if you go to YouTube, then you know, then I can't watch you anymore. Like, okay, sorry, but that sucks. So I don't understand what the dislike is for YouTube exactly. And if you guys watch YouTube, do you have YouTube Premium? I have YouTube Premium. It's freaking amazing. I think once you go premium, you won't go back to regular. No commercials, no ads, none of that stuff. It's really quite breathtaking. It is. All right.
This last year, and I don't know, maybe the next time I'm off social media, it'll be for a year or 2 or 6 months or 3 years. Who knows? Thank you, thank you. Thank you. This is a follow-up. This is a follow-up. Last night I was moving some furniture, and there was a piece of furniture that was, it had all the front and the sides are just all glass, and right before I set it down, that's what I'm going to show you, Norma. Right before I set it down, you know, I think it's these Croc sandals that I wear. I don't know, but I lost my footing, and the thing got on its front angle, and my knee went through the side glass panel. And y'all saw the gash last night. Also, this video is probably being streamed by that one of by the mob of the Exhibition of Hate, which is called that.
Exhibition of Hate.
And those are comprised by a handful of people who, along my journey, have decided to harass me, like gang harassment. And
fake term.
I became aware last night that he shared my video, and he's always very, very excited to see me and look at me.
Oh yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Mm-hmm.
He did that with last night's video. And of course, the lady that I've been surviving.
Oh, Vanessa. I had to see that gash. That gash looks so deep. It was so moist. And with every movement, the gash would open. I just had to see that. Yeah, that's gross. Yeah, I know.
Ophelia Moreno. Yeah, she was on there also saying that I would do anything for views, and just like she said that I would do anything for views, including the hate crime that I survived, that I beat my face up. Yeah. It's like, why don't you take that information, if it's true, to the district attorney so she can put me in prison also?
Oh, man. That was so wrong. That's just wrong.
Why am I not in prison with those people?
That's just wrong, what I did. I mean, wrong on many levels.
That's right. Because what you're saying is a lie, and it's very harassing. It torments me when you do that. Okay? So, she said that I cut my knee on purpose for views. I'm not even kidding. So anyway, exactly, Carrie. So I had that man judging me. First of all, remember they all grouped together, all of them. Remember John Allen?
Really?
The white man that said, "What's next for you? A cemetery, a prison, or a Mexican whorehouse donkey show." I'm not even kidding. He's a white man that told me that. Anyway, him and that male.
I don't know. I know some folks are saying that. I don't think she would do that. I definitely don't think it was self-inflicted. I have seen, whether it's at the knee or at the elbow, contact two solid surfaces, your bone and a solid surface, and it'll just split the skin. I have seen that. That's why I say I don't think she did it on purpose. So, just for the record, I don't think she did it on purpose.
Right? The Hispanic male, they both want me in prison.
I never said I wanted her in prison. Nope. I want her to answer for the things she's done. I would like to hear that. But I don't necessarily want her in prison. Makes no difference to my life whether she goes to prison or not.
They consider themselves very patriotic and American, but when it comes to me, if they could put me in prison for the rest of my life without ever having justice or ever having a trial or anything, they absolutely would.
That's a bullshit lie. In fact, it is such a bullshit lie that you know who I have to call, right?
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit. A bullshit.
Yeah.
Dad, are you gonna let me run
These window seats.
I know what you did. You're a damn predator. All right, just get the hell out of here. I got a goddamn campaign. The one thing you do care about.
Okay, then I quit as your son.
You know what? If somebody's found guilty, they should get some kind of punishment. Period. I don't care who it is. If you're guilty, you get some kind of punishment, whether it's a fine or probation or prison or whatever. That's on you and what you did. You get what you get, and period. Do I want you to go away? No. Do I want you to go away for life? No. I never said that. I mean, I don't wish that on anybody. Well, on a few people. I mean, real nasty pieces of crap criminals who've done very disgusting things. Yeah, of course. Put them under the freaking jail. But my life will not turn for the better or for the worst if I never hear from her again. It makes no difference to me and my life. So, enough about that.
I'm not even kidding. These are men. These are men that I survived.
You survived, yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying all that right now because they also had the nerve to judge me while I implemented a set of skills that I've had for 30 years.
Okay, and I know people were talking about the sugar thing. It's like, you know what? We're in 25. Why do you got to use these fucking MacGyver caveman anecdote? Not anecdote. What's the word I'm looking for? But these things that they would use in the Wild West because there's no doctors or no medicine. That was my point. And that's my opinion. That's all. Go to the friggin' doctor. Go to the emergency room. You don't want that to get infected. I don't want you to get an infection. How's that? I know some people do. But I sincerely didn't want that to get infected. So it's like, go to the friggin' doctor, man. What's this is I don't care. You call that judging, then you call it judging. That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And it's harassing for that man to say, she didn't even wash her hands. How do you know you weren't here? You weren't here. As much as you wish you could get that close to me, you were not here.
Yeah, no. I don't wish to get that close ever. Not even by accident. I know she wishes for, somebody to come by and be near her, but not me. No. Get that out of your mind. All right.
But it's all, like I said, it's a campaign of shame. It's a campaign of mongering hate. And he said I was going to get infected. He said that John Allen was making fun of me for having homemade steri strips, right? As if higher level thinkers don't understand that what I did was actually higher level thinking. But of course, that's a white man that hates me. Yeah.
Oh, poor you.
Prison. And then the other man, the Mexican one, said...
The Mexican one. I'm American. I was born and raised in Chicago. I consider myself an American above and beyond anything else. But you can see she's racist. She only thinks about skin color. And we all know she's racist anyway. That's why she would say that.
Oh, she's going to come back and she's going to have stitches and she's going to say she stitched herself. Okay, first of all, I don't...
Boy, first of all, obviously she watches.
I think she realizes that doctors have... There are LVNs who assist cardiovascular surgeons in surgery.
I don't think that's true, but...
they take out the saphenous vein. The saphenous vein is the longest vein.
Does an LVN do that kind of job? Do we have any nurses here? Can someone answer that? I'm looking for Dahlia. Dahlia would know. Dahlia is an LVN of many years. She heads a page. I have to look it up. Look up Dahlia. But can any nurse or LVN confirm that? What she just said right now?
Okay, first of all, I don't think she realizes that doctors have... There are LVNs who assist cardiovascular surgeons in surgery. And they take out the saphenous vein.
You know how intense... cardio, heart surgery. I've seen how many people they have in these rooms when they're doing surgeries. Would they really put... I really want to know. Would they really put an LVN in there? I'm going to send a message to a nurse right now.
The saphenous vein is the longest vein in your lower extremity, and that's the vein that they use to do your heart bypasses with. I don't think he realizes that people can be credentialed in different ways without having the one credential that he assumes. What do you expect from a man who... I've never claimed bankruptcy, no matter how bad it's gotten for me. Right? Those are the ones judging me. no degree, no set of skills
No degree, really? Okay.
to possess, to even have the experience, the knowledge, and the know-how to judge me in any way. If I want tips on how to be a 50-something-year-old man that has accomplished nothing in life, is obsessed with Vanessa Tejerina, and sells Mary Kay Avon, then I will go to him for advice.
I wouldn't give you any. No.
Yeah.
Degrees, I've got 2. Accomplishments, I've got many. But do I care to waste my breath in telling you what that is? No. Because she's insignificant to me. Yeah, I'll be nice and I'll leave it at that.
Also, to his hateful followers, one lady was like, oh, so she's using her patient supplies. But what do you expect on a hate page, right?
Okay. As a nurse, or I'm sure there's a few LVNs and nurses watching. My question is, she said a few minutes ago that she works with cardiovascular surgeons during surgery. And if that's true, that's fine. But is that true? I mean, somebody said, I swear somebody once said that LVN don't go into like major surgery like that. Unless I heard wrong. So I'm asking any nurses here, is that a possible role for LVN to be, especially with a cardiovascular surgeon, which she just said?
How do you know that those are my patient supplies? How do you know, A, I didn't have permission from one of the many owners of agencies that I work for to patch myself up by whatever means necessary?
How about getting one of your coworkers or another nurse at the agency? Do me a favor, I got this thing. Can you come over, help me do this? We know that's not going to happen.
Also, how do you know that some nurses, like school teachers, buy their own supplies? Also, how do you know that one of my nursing friends didn't come and bring me everything I needed? And then to judge me on iodine
There
and
you go.
sugar, I'm a biologist.
Yeah,
They
right. Dahlia says she was an office nurse. Sometimes they may do minor things in the office, but surgery centers, hospital settings, more than likely not. And that's Dahlia's opinion, and she's been a nurse for quite some time.
use Meta-honey for a reason. Meta-honey is a short carbohydrate molecule. Short. Table sugar is ginormous.
Look at her. She's got that look. You can tell she went to look all this stuff up because she's got all this. I just read all this stuff a few minutes ago. I know I'm going to say this, and they're going to be in shock.
I listed the studies, the peer-reviewed articles. I'm not.
That's how you know she just read it. Because who says the peer-reviewed articles? Come on. Whatever. Okay. I'll tell you what. You want a pat on the back? You want some applause because you stitched yourself up? There. You may continue.
I'm not going to go into detail, but to the molecular level, sugar and iodine on a wound stimulates the growth of the two very important cells that are found the most in abundance in skin. That nobody there would know anything about that. But they're going to judge me. Right?
I wasn't judging. I was just giving my opinion. You have to know the difference between being judged and listening to someone give their opinion.
I have like a cold or something. So, without further ado, here we go. I'm going to change these. And I want you to see them. These are the exact same things that I put on yesterday. And I want you all to see the power of sugar and iodine. I'm not kidding. Right? Watch. Remember what it looked like last night.
Oh, so she didn't have gloves on last night, but today she's going to put the gloves on. Yeah, I guess because with gloves you can't do the sticky adhesive, right? All right, I suppose that's why.
These are the exact same ones that I put on last night. I'm just going to change the steri strips because they got a little ugly. And I want them to be cleaner.
Does iodine sterilize? That's what I want to know.
And for the ladies that showed themselves as haters on my page last night, on my live, how can you? What do you mean? How can you be a nurse and not have insurance? Because I'm not full-time anymore. Because I just accept contracts. That's why. Judgmental people. I swear.
That wasn't judgmental. That was just a question. I should have put this on.
Do you see that?
Damn it.
Can you see that? That is amazing. That is amazing. That's crazy. For there to be no inflammation.
Because it's really just a superficial wound. It's not like a dagger went through your leg and, impaled you or something. So the reality is the wound looked worse than it really was. And that's the truth. What's that, Carla? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As long as you don't bend the knee. And the doctors will tell you, especially where the cut is in an area that gets used a lot and gets bent, especially at a joint. Wrist, elbow, knee. And it's open. You can see it's open. It's not closed. You can see that. Don't tell me you can't see that it's open. I know it's not going to heal overnight, but every movement, look at that. It opens up with every little movement. So, yeah, and that's my medical opinion. And no, I'm not a physician. I'm not giving medical advice and all that stupid crap. See? Now, it was when she first took off the tape, it was more closed up. And as she started cleaning, it started opening. Tell me I'm wrong. Who else saw that? Who's going to tell me I'm wrong about that one? We can watch it again if you want. In fact, while she was cleaning it, you can see it opening up.
Remember, I use this because this makes everything very tacky. So that the strips will have something to adhere to.
Yeah, Regina, she said she's got a cold or some kind of cold or whatever. Sounds like it. I think it's time to blow your nose.
People always put steri strips right over the cut, but you need to relieve the tension on the sides first.
Yeah, Sonia. replying to Sonia's comment here, done something kind of like that requires stitches. It was my opinion, although I'm not a medical professional, that yes, because of where it is, unless you're going to keep your leg stiff without bending it ever while it's healing, I would imagine stitches would be better. But, she said it was going to be completely closed. And when she first took off the tape a little while ago, it looked closed. But as she cleaned, even the gentle cleaning she was doing around it, it started opening up. And that's open. I mean, it's open. So, I don't know. What do I know? Well, she is licensed with the state, Carla, so that is a fact. That's a fact. Yeah, Renee, we were talking about that yesterday. I don't know, Dahlia, could you have dropped some crazy glue in there to keep it closed up? I don't know, man. And you know what? Being a nurse for, 25 years, give or take, that's a long time. And you think you would have nurse friends and nurse coworkers and people in the business. Should something like this happen, you would just, hey, can you come over, please? I got something that's happened. I don't want to go to the doctor. Can you help me with? It's not something you should have to do yourself. I guess that's the best way to put it. This is not something you should have to do yourself. And yes, I know we should blow her damn nose.
These I'm not going to remove until they fall up on their own. The other ones were too dirty for me to leave them on.
Dahlia, did you see the gash yesterday? I have it on my live if you didn't see it. She showed it. Someone wasn't eat busted. It was gushing red matter. Meat was hanging out. Damn! I just cleaned it and moved my leg back and forth. Meat was hanging out. Jeez. Here's another thing she's going to say that I'm judging her. But you think she would have? She's a nurse for all those years. You think she'd have like medical type scissors? You know, the ones that have they're angled up at the tip for making cuts like that. I even have some of those. I ain't no nurse. She's using scissors that might have been used to cut paper or who knows what else. What if the scissors were
One
sterilized?
for good measure. Perfect.
Hey Terry. Hi Regina. Davis and Tammy, hey there. Welcome everybody who's just joining us. Just gonna do a little bit of this video. I know we saw it earlier. Some of y'all didn't get to see it. I didn't see the first part of it. Apparently, I triggered her by some of the things I said yesterday when this first happened to her.
Now this I'm not going to take off for a long time.
So
Probably about 5 more days.
if you saw it earlier and you don't want to watch the rest of it, I guess we can kill it. At this point, we've seen this part already. If you haven't seen it, I'll just let it run. It's not that long anyway. That cracks me up. And I'm not judging anybody if you don't have sugar in their house. But who doesn't have sugar in their house? I've had sugar wherever I've lived, even when I was alone. I've had sugar in the house. And if I'm going to pour sugar on a wound, it's not going to be from a McDonald's packet. I'm sorry, but it's not. Look like this is a scene from Breaking Bad right there. Bam's on his way home from work.
I'm gonna put all of this right here.
Yes, I said, oh, fuck. I apologize. I was just talking about, yes, the sugar iodine thing is real. We had a nurse who was watching right now say, yeah, that's a true statement, true facts. And I looked it up as well overnight. And yeah, there is truth to the MacGyver method.
Oh my god. The iodine keeps the sugar. Well, something happens with iodine is one of the most electromagnetic elements on a periodic table. It's carbon and iodine and sulfur. Well, anyway, and so when it breaks down next to sugar, sugar has a ton of carbohydrate atoms. And something magical happens there. And it keeps it the perfect amount of moisture, not too dry and not too wet. It won't get macerated. But the most amazing thing is that that mixture stimulates two of the cells that are the most abundant in granulation tissue. Betadine is iodine, yes. Mhm. Yes. Yeah. And then right now, I'm going to wrap, even though it only is below my knee, the other thing that is really important for wounds, especially on lower extremities, is even compression. Now, a lot of people would want to get a ace wrap and just wrap this part. Like, right there and right there. You wrap starting from the base of your toes all the way, this is right below my knee, so it's going to be above my knee. And that even compression is so important for wounds to heal.
So why didn't you do that?
So, thank you. I'm going to rest now, and I just want to thank y'all for being so kind. And even though I'm gonna deactivate,
Again, what is the point in deactivating? Is it some kind of a do you gotta psych yourself up to do something, whatever you're doing? And I'm just saying, if she deactivates only to reactivate again and go live and then deactivate, then what's the point of deactivating? Just stay activated. Just don't go live. If you don't want to. And if you want to, then you don't have to reactivate.
I did post below this video like 4 or 5 articles on sugar and iodine.
Yeah, and right there, she's got her
I did.
hands and
Thank you.
fingers right by her mouth.
Thank you. You're gonna see. I'm never gonna get an infection. Did you know that sugar and iodine have the ability to get rid of methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus? You all know what that is. That is MRSA, that's MRSA. Do you know how hard it is to find something that gets rid of MRSA? That's what it's called. It's Staphylococcus aureus that is resistant to methicillin, which used to be like the antibiotics of antibiotics. It was the strongest antibiotic. And then all of a sudden, Staphylococcus aureus was like, actually, we're stronger than you now. So, you're going to have to think of something like vancomycin. I don't know. But we're stronger than that.
I thought I said it
We
right.
have to put it in front of our name.
Methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus.
Look it up. Sugar and iodine have the ability to eradicate that from a wound. I'm not even kidding. Malia said, yes, I did my research yesterday about it after seeing you do this, and it's one of the breasts. Yeah, well, the thing is this.
Deactivate.
There was a study done in the late 70s, early 80s.
I don't think I've seen Wonder Woman, like the original TV show, for years.
And when they compared sugar and iodine, the rate a wound healing. Nothing in the world came close to it. Nothing. Nothing. But you all might guess why Big Pharma may have wanted to stop that research and didn't want anybody to know about it. Everybody has sugar, and everybody has iodine, and sugar and iodine are so cheap.
Especially when you get them free from McDonald's.
And then, let me tell you, you know how when I had my mommy makeover, I told y'all that I didn't feel pain. And so, instead of staying a little bit hunched over, I stood up. I stood up straight away. I was like, my goodness, this isn't even a big deal.
Yes, the Linda Carter Wonder Woman.
All of my incision, all of my entire tummy tuck opened.
Oh yeah, Fantasy Island. Welcome to Fantasy Island.
So my surgeon said, remember how last night I said, I have to close this because I won't be able to close it later after 8 hours. You cannot close a wound after 8 hours. You just can't. So because my tummy tuck opened way after surgery, it had to close with third intention. Third intention means from the inside out. And they said,
Now
"I'm
every
probably gonna
time
need a wound vac."
every time she goes to McDonald's, she's gonna ask, "Can I get?" So now we know what those 10 sugars are for. Every time she gets the coffee from there, now we know what those 10 packets of sugar are for.
No.
Remember, if you know, you know.
So I called one of my RN friends, and I said, "Look, I wasn't expecting this to happen. I wasn't expecting this to happen." I said, "I need granulation, and I need it fast, like really, really fast." So she said, "Do sugar and iodine." I looked at the phone like,
So advice from another nurse was sugar and iodine instead of go to the doctor, go to the clinic.
I was calling you for help. I was so stupid.
Hey, Joanne.
I get off the phone with her, and I do my research.
Of course you did.
I was like, okay. What? Okay. I have no sugar. Right now I have no sugar in my house. When this happened last night, I could not get off at the dollar store or HEB because my whole leg was bleeding. The tourniquet did so much. And I wasn't going to put clothes on and stuff like that because so I went in my bathrobe and I went and I got a small coffee with 10 sugars on the side from the McDonald's.
So so she has the accident. She's bleeding. The gash is open. You saw it yesterday. And instead of let me disinfect it, clean it, her first thought is, I better put on my robe and go to McDonald's and get a coffee so I can get sugar. Not medicine, Neosporin or whatever, that kind of stuff like that. Let me do the sugar and the iodine mix. Am I judging? Am I judging?
But that time when she told me about that and I did my research, I had no sugar because I just don't eat sugar.
Well, you don't
But
cook.
I had Splenda. You know I tried it with the Splenda. You know that I tried it with the Splenda. It's different. It's a different kind of sugar.
It was bleeding, Joanne, but it wasn't really gushing blood. If she would have stayed still and not moved it, it may not have bled that much, to be honest. It cut the layers of the skin, but no tendons, no arteries. I think the blood was just from the blood. What do you call that blood? The blood that's in your body floating around everywhere. Yeah, anybody you ask is gonna. You're right, Joanne. But anybody you ask is gonna say, "Go to the doctor, go to the urgent care, go to the ER." And if another nurse says, "Oh, go get sugar and iodine," whatever.
So, in the way that it clumps up, table sugar, sucrose. Table sugar is sucrose. And Splenda is sucralose. In the way that table sugar clumps up, well, when you put iodine on Splenda, it turns into like a watery, real watery. I still wanted to try it
Apparently, she's tried that.
because I saw them. I looked up the molecular composition of sucralose, and it was the most. It was a thing that I had because I had aspartame, which is NutraSweet, and I had saccharin, which is sweet and low. But those two molecules were not as close to looking like sucrose. But sucralose was Splenda. So I said that. And so I did it. I put that, it was really messy because it wasn't like a paste. And I put that in my wound. And I went to sleep. You know, the next day I took that shit off and there was granulation tissue. There was new tissue growth. And I was like, what? So I called somebody and I told them, can you please bring me the smallest container of a little bag of sugar, please? Please. Ouch, please. And they were like, okay. So they bring it to me. And I make the paste that I made right now. My wound healed in less than 2 weeks. I'm not even kidding. And they said that it was going to take like 3 months. I'm not even kidding. In 2 weeks, it healed, it closed. And every single day, there was new granulation tissue. And it gets rid of slough, and it gets rid of eschar. Go look the studies up. I swear to you. I swear to you. I was like, oh my God. So, in the same way that they use meta honey, because they didn't used to use meta honey. No. I remember I worked for.
Yeah, the kind of cut that it is. I've heard doctors talk about it. You have two hard surfaces. You have two hard surfaces, like an object and your kneecap. Bam! They hit hard. Those two hard surfaces just splits the skin, creates a gash, and it's like an incision. It's a perfect cut. It seems like a perfect cut, and to me, in my opinion, it was big enough of a cut. I'm going to say it was about 2 inches, give or take. If it's a little tiny cut like this, half inch, fine, treat it at home. Put a couple of band-aids and you're good. But something that big, I don't know, man. I'm going to the doctor. And then we talk about medical insurance, and she's going to get into that too and give us a lesson on, civics lesson on insurance and being a contract employee.
Surgeon, and he had done a laparoscopic cholecystectomy, which is a gallbladder removal with laparoscopic surgery. You know, the 3 little dots on your
Mary
stomach.
Mary Hartman.
Well, she wound up getting an infection.
Yeah, I actually do remember that. Fuck, I'm showing my age with that one. Holy shit. I almost forgot about that show.
She had to go back, and she had to get a midline incision, and she had to get opened, right? A midline incision is from the bottom of your sternum to the lower part of your pelvis and around your belly button. And so then, of course, she went home. And she didn't like any of the treatments that the doctor ordered. So on her own, she would put regular honey. Regular honey. That's going to do the same thing as med honey. It is. However, when you use it for medicine, you can't just tell a patient to use regular honey. You can't say anything like that or suggest it. It has to come from a doctor. But they cannot substitute it because meta honey is made in a laboratory. Okay. But that lady 10 years ago, 15, was ahead of the times. And now 7 years ago, they started using meta honey. So when I did my research,
How you getting, Naya?
for my abdomen, for my tummy tuck, I saw that because table sugar is man-made and it's so strong, it's so much stronger than honey. Honey is natural. Because it's so much stronger than honey and it's refined, which means it's very concentrated, it has the same properties that honey has, except it does everything like times, like exponentially, like more and more and faster and stronger. Yeah. I just showed everybody, Francis, on my leg. I just showed everybody. I don't know why that lady Sonia's here. She says, if you are a nurse, why don't you have insurance? Let me ask you something. When many of you all have husbands that are contractors,
did all of
right?
you hear this already? Or
Right.
is this your first time hearing it? Because I played this earlier.
Which means they're their own boss.
I caught the second half of this earlier and I went live
They
with
only work
it. So
for
this part
themselves.
we've seen already.
But they're young. How can you be a contractor, make a lot of money, and not have insurance? How can you be a contractor, work for yourself, and not have insurance? Can you answer that? See, believe it or not, there's physical therapists, occupational therapists, nurse practitioners, doctors even, that do not work full-time for anybody at all. They are contract employees that work at various different entities.
Good night, Dahlia. Oh, man, Archie Bunker,
Insurance
one of the greatest programs
is
ever.
a benefit. It's a perk.
You know who the creator of Archie Bunker
In
was?
fact, many people choose full-time employment because of the insurance coverage. I'm fairly healthy. This was an accident. I don't have any other comorbidities at all.
Well, you're obese, so I mean,
So, and I can't afford insurance right now because I'm paying for lawyers. Because I'm still in my survival. I'm still in the middle of proving everybody that naysayed me fucking wrong. I'm still on my way, to redemption. Like, whenever they were making fun of Cinderella, see, sometimes my horse and carriage still turn into a pumpkin. Yeah. So,
whatever.
I still get judged and laughed at and shamed and all that. Yeah.
What did she just say? Hold on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I still get judged and laughed at and shamed and all that.
Oh, poor you.
Yeah. Thank you. I love you, Carol Smith. Thank you, thank you. Carol Smith says, a contractor has to buy their own insurance. My brothers are self-contracted and they have to buy exactly, especially if you're under the age of 65. First of all, if you have to do like 1099, the long form taxes, you're not paying into Social Security all the time. That's not my case. I actually did work so much that I gained all my Social Security credits before 30. However, there are men and women who are their own boss, entrepreneurs, contractors, etc. And they are their own boss, their own person, their own company. So they're under the age of 65, so they can't qualify. And if they get hurt or whatever, they can't qualify for even Social Security disability because they never contributed to the workforce via Social Security. So believe it or not, there are millions of Americans who are too young to qualify for government benefits like that, who have been entrepreneurs and for whatever reason didn't pay into Social Security. Or they're just their own boss. And so, if they're lucky enough,
That's what I
they have
said
enough
earlier. Marketplace.
leftover money that they are in a position to be able to buy themselves insurance. I'm not. Edet says it's close to $600 a month for private insurance. Exactly. Carol Smith says, love you, girl, and let me tell you, it's expensive to pay for their own. Yeah, exactly. And then that stupid man that was streaming me last night, he was like, why doesn't she just go to the ER? For what? So that all you haters can try to put me in jail? Or say that I'm mooching off the government when I can't pay the bill?
Oh, poor you.
God forbid, if I were to actually qualify. How does she qualify for assistance
I love that
for an
sound.
ER visit? How does she do that? Let's indict her.
Said no one whatsoever.
No, thank you.
Oh, shut up.
I'll fix myself.
She comes up with so many of these bull crap. Oh, they're going to say this, or they're saying this, or they're saying this, or they said this. Let's indict her. How can she get insurance? That's all a bunch of crap. Nobody's questioning any of that. So many other people get insurance through Marketplace. And if you're not working or if you make very little money, it's even cheaper to practically free. I shouldn't say free, it's just at no cost to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know how long it takes to. I mean, mine are
Oh
already
my goodness,
to that
Melanie
point
says,
already.
my
Also,
dad retired at 65,
I
got
mean, but I've been
medical,
working since I was 16 years old,
Medicare,
legally since I was
had
16.
cancer, and passed 7
So I
months
got
later.
mine, I guess,
Insurance
pretty
is
quick.
costly when you own your own business. Just say, exactly. Exactly. I don't get paid vacation. I don't get sick days. I don't get PTO. I don't get insurance. Nope. The last time that I was at a job full time where I got insurance was in 2007.
2007. Okay, so we're in 2025. How old are her kids? So, just trying to do the math on that.
Yep. Carrie Hope Ellis says, my hub.
See, she's not going to go to the hospital's going to want to draw blood, possibly. I don't know. I don't see why they would draw blood on a just to close up a wound, right? So yeah, well, she's got a fear of hospitals for some reason.
He pays nearly $900 a month for the two of us, and it's not even very good insurance. But he works for a small company of 6 employees exactly. But people assume, like they don't really say that. Like when people come over here, like last night I had like 3 ladies. Shame on you, ladies. Shame on you, because I only saw you commenting after I replayed that video.
So you haven't been working a full-time job as an employee since whatever she said, 2004, 2007? And you don't have insurance now. Well, you've never had it. You said that was the last time you had insurance. So all this time, you haven't earned enough money. You haven't made a good enough of a living to purchase insurance for yourself. Right? And like I said, I don't care how what the situation is like. What do you think the cost is going to be? When you got that big of a gash, you go to the doctor and they suture it up. You got to do it, and then you deal with the bill afterwards. And you know what? You apply for whatever the assistance is, whether it's with the city or with the state or the county. And most likely, if you don't earn enough money, they will forgive that bill. I would do that instead of putting McDonald's sugar and iodine on that shit.
And they were like, how can you be a nurse and not have insurance? But they won't say that to contractors. They naively assume that we are in a different position
Hey,
simply
Cynthia.
because we're not making buildings. Simply because we're not building structures or infrastructure, residential or commercial, does not mean that our circumstances do not exist regarding insurance in the medical field the way that it exists for private contractors in the building industry. Thank you.
So this comes.
Thank you. Melanie says,
She really is on the
all the nurses
spectrum. She would
should
qualify
get
for
medical,
insurance,
even part-time or contracted out.
right?
I
Some
know,
kind of
right?
something, right?
Right. Carrie says,
If she had an actual disability, she's good. She would be good. So, what happened to the disability?
so weird. It's like they've not been living in the real world. Sandra Southernwood says, I see the valley has horrible flooding. Are you okay? I had to wait for the water to recede on Thursday morning.
Ooh, she may be banned for life from
I'm sorry,
applying for any
Friday
type of
morning.
government help. That
Yeah.
includes marketplace. Ooh,
I've been
interesting.
covering the flooding down here for years. 7 years.
Covering the flooding.
No one listens. Nobody cares. No one cares. One time, almost 10 years ago, in Harlingen, it's this city, it's 20 miles south of me. It rained consistently for an hour, and there was 12 inches of rain in 1 hour. Harlingen wasn't prepared for that. And I hear that some places in the valley got 20 inches of rain,
No,
and they weren't prepared for that.
I think
I know
Harlingen got
Because-
Harlingen got some estimates say 14 inches, and another estimate says 16 inches of rain. I don't think I saw anything higher than 16 anywhere in the last couple of days. I've never seen that.
Today I drove all the way to the westernmost part of the Rio Grande Valley, all the way to the easternmost part.
The westernmost part. You know that some people consider Laredo the Rio Grande Valley. Let's see. Oops. Alrighty. The Rio Grande Valley is situated at the southernmost tip of Texas, bordering the Rio Grande River in Mexico to the south and the Gulf of Mexico to the east. Let's see. Geographically, don't forget blah, blah, blah. The Rio Grande Valley. Okay, all the way to Starr County. Okay, so like I figured it went up to Falcon. So you're gonna tell me she drove past Roma, way past Roma. She went from Starr County. She said all the way to the end. So she went to where? South Padre Island, Brownsville? Just to view the wreckage or the destruction.
And I saw all the cars stranded in the flooded waters. In Alamo, in San Benito, in Harlingen. Sandra Southernwood says, I love your last name. She says, I was born in Harlingen. My mom loved San Juan. Thank you. Hey, Maria. I did an update right now, earlier in this video. Francis Worthy says, I'm scared when my husband retires. In a few years, I won't be able to afford medical or dental. I see my sister struggle just getting insulin, and my sister-in-law.
I got SSDI for having bad knees.
You see, I'm the kind of
For
person
being
that
a whack job.
I used to talk about all those things, but I can't anymore because it always leads, because I always follow the money. The people that are struggling right now.
Yeah, how messed up is that? Very true, Nikki. You claim you you can't afford insurance, but you paid for a mommy makeover and everything that encompassed the mommy makeover. And the way they do it at these places in Mexico is, I mean, you pay cheap. And I've seen it. Working in the airline business, we've seen people who traveled into Mexico, and the morning of the surgery, when it's over, a lot of it is BBLs. When it's over, they get released, and then they get on a cab, get to the border, cross it, and take a cab or an Uber, go to the airport to hop on a flight. There's like no healing period, no healing time, no recovery time. It's like, whoop, we zipped you up. Take this pill right now. Okay, see you later. Good luck. Have a nice trip home. I mean, I'm sure she still paid. Had to be a couple thousand, if not more than that. But see, the priorities. Medical insurance, mommy makeover. Alrighty.
With diabetes and obesity, the people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s grew up in a time in America where there was a boom, an absolute boom, in the accessibility of salt and sugar. And the way we now understand,
There's always been accessibility to salt and sugar. What is she talking about?
in the accessibility of salt and sugar. And the way we now understand, they were also exposed to alcohol
Hey,
and
Diana.
cigarettes. And there was a lot of activists and patients and family members that made a huge deal about how cigarettes ended the lives of their loved ones. And they had no warnings, no labels, nothing.
Diana, in a nutshell,
And along came the
she injured her knee yesterday. Well, the skin around her knee.
lead,
Got a gash of, I don't know, 2.5 inches. And she stitched herself up with tape,
regulate
with that sticky tape bandage stuff,
the nicotine industry.
instead of going to the doctor to get stitches.
But we live in a society that
She's reading something right now.
doesn't want to recognize what the research says.
She's trying to make it look like she's speaking from her thoughts.
And when you expose people who are now 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s from their childhood to McDonald's that puts pickled salt on their fries so that that fine powdered salt will go deeper into the taste buds, where they don't want to recognize the addictive qualities of salt and what it does to the cardiovascular system. And then what that does whenever you have stress in your life and you have high blood pressure. And then what that does to your kidneys and your eyesight and your heart. We live in a society where sugar is the most addictive substance, even more than nicotine. But the salt industry And all of the companies that utilize it, and the sugar industry, and all the companies that utilize it, to get generation after generation after generation of people even more addicted than they ever were to nicotine. Well, when you have a society that doesn't want to recognize that, you have that. You have people wondering why there's a shortage of insulin. And then they get mad at people for wondering if they're keeping us chronically sick. And why does it feel like they're not healing us? Why does it feel like they only want to get us better so that we won't feel the symptoms, not so that we'll heal?
Yeah, she's totally reading something. I mean, who cares? I think it's funny when you try to pawn it off as your own thoughts. I want to mention, and I'm going to put it in the comments right here. At some point, I'm going to try this again, switching over to YouTube, only YouTube. So something Facebook is doing right now is they're starting to delete videos in the library. So all those videos I've got, and there's hundreds of them, they're going to eliminate them one by one. No, in whole. I think they're giving us like 6 months or something like that. Maybe it's 90 days to back up, save the videos or whatever. And any new videos, any live, when we go live and these things get recorded, they will only sit there for 30 days and then YouTube will delete them. And that really sucks. It's going to affect a lot of people, creators who make a living out of this and earn money because they get paid for views. And the game is changing for Facebook. And it's made me think more and more about just switching over to YouTube. So if you would please go to my YouTube and subscribe, I would appreciate it. And little by little, we'll start streaming only on that platform over there. It'll be over time. It's not going to happen immediately. So I put it in the comments. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. It doesn't cost anything. And at some point, we will make that change. So please go and subscribe. I appreciate it.
But those are just my thoughts.
Those are not your thoughts. Quit lying.
So, thank you, Mia. I can't. Oh my goodness. Deborah tells Francis, I'm so scared when my husband retires in a few years. And Deborah says, that is sad. The elderly deserve better. I'm 58. Was turned down for SSI. Have had lung cancer. Had lower lung removed. Pinched neck and back nerves. I'm full of arthritis. And there are people 25 years old and receiving everything and are on the road all day. Nothing wrong. Pisses me off. I have a patient. I had a patient. Double amputee. Diabetic. He went to go apply for disability. I don't know what's going on over there in Hidalgo County. At the Social Security office. The services beneath us. I don't know what's going on there. But if there's Social Security people telling people who are double amputees Except you're used to seeing very overweight and obese people. This man's like 70 something.
I don't think I've seen a 70-year-old that's obese. I don't think I've seen anybody who is obese make it to 70 years old. Think about it. Think about that. I can't think of one.
And yeah, you're going to deny him.
And I'm thinking just about, people, friends and family and friends of the family over my entire lifetime. And being in the hospital and watching TV shows and just everything around you in life. Who's 70 and obese? Who's obese at 70 years old? Doesn't sound right. Not to mention, almost 100% of disability applications are deleted, are denied at the first time. Regardless of what your disability is, it doesn't matter. And I think that's just their policy to weed out applications that are not necessary. And sometimes it even takes, from what I hear, up to 2 years to get an approval. Now, the only good thing about that is that if you applied and you're waiting and 2 years later you get an approval, you get back pay. You will get back benefits for 2 years from the date that you applied. So once it's approved and they determine how much your payment is going to be, you get checks, monthly checks from the date that you applied. But they're deleted. I keep saying deleted. They're denied usually from the first to the fourth or fifth time. And then they start looking into your situation. And I got that from someone who works at the Social Security Administration.
Because they deny everybody. Because they want to keep denying. Because they only want to be able to give it to the people who fight it for it the hardest. But whenever you tell somebody like that...
No, that's not true.
Well, you can go be a greeter at Walmart. What's going on there?
Oh, 1 year
I think
back
that's
pay only?
inappropriate.
Okay.
I think that's inappropriate.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
I think that's inappropriate.
1 year of retro. Okay.
And simply because a person like that is not overweight, and you usually see people overweight, so you think, oh, they're much more able-bodied than the majority of people I see. You're not a doctor. You don't understand what a person like that is living with, and you don't take into consideration all of their other diagnoses. Anyway.
Diagnoses. Not diagnosis.
What happened? Oh, I know, Deborah. I know. Exactly. Hi, Louise. She says, hi, V. It's your last from Scotland. Just got on. Have you got the flu? Yeah. No, it's not the flu. You know, guys, my whole life, if I accidentally sleep with a fan on my face, this happens. I do not want to believe what my grandmother would have probably said. You know, she would tell me, do not go outside with your hair wet, because you will get a virus. Do not sleep with the fan on your face, because you will get sick. You'll get a cold.
But
And I'm like, how's that
didn't she just say she got sick? She slept with the fan on her face.
going to introduce a cold in it? I was like, but 3 days ago, I slept with the fan on accident straight on my face. And I woke up like this. It takes about 3 times of appealing to get approved for SSI. Don't even get me started. Y'all, please. Why do you think I made such a big deal? 2.5 million Texans.
Hi, Nancy.
2.5 million Texans. Children. From 2004 to 2010. 2004 to 2014. 250,000 a year were treated as general education students because Texas failed to identify them. These are children with dyslexia and autism, ADHD. These are children that, because they were not identified, are going to be expected to graduate, and the police are not going to treat them differently. Absolutely not, right? The police are not going to see them as non-compliant. The police are not going to see them as belligerent.
No,
the
Nancy.
police are not going to care about high functioning, low functioning, and everything in between.
She was on last
Right.
night. She cut her leg. She was
also,
showing everyone how she was
They're lazy because there's nothing wrong with them.
self-treating
It doesn't matter that they were never
the
identified.
wound.
It doesn't matter that they failed to identify 2.5 million of a generation. Because what's the very first thing that they ask you
Right, Nikki?
as an adult when you go get SSI?
That's true.
Were you in special ed? What are those 2.5 million now adult Texans? That's the predicament that they have been put in. If they're even still alive right now. Because the statistics did not take them. Carrie Hope Ella says, I have MS and struggle daily because I can't afford the injections. I need to slow the progression. I was denied but haven't reapplied, but I know someone who filed the month after he spent 7 years in prison saying, ouch, my back, or I have PTSD because of prison. He was in there for federal drug charges and he got approved within 6 fucking months. That's some bullshit. It's because he had all his documentation also from the prison. The more that something is documented, the less likely they're going to be able to deny you. And unfortunately, a lot of you have doctors or have been misdiagnosed to when you finally get to what you have, it is so debilitating that it now hinders your function. And once your function as a human is hindered,
Conjunction.
that is when
what's your fault?
you are disabled. Because your function has been hindered. But unfortunately, a late diagnosis and all those misdiagnoses does not give a long, well-documented, and they don't take that into consideration. They're not like, yeah, I know I've only been diagnosed for the last 3 years. However, I was misdiagnosed, and I should have been diagnosed right 10 years ago. They don't care about that, even though they should. Hi, Christy. Thank you, Deborah. Hi, Christy. I just showed everybody what I did. I patched up my leg again. Rose says, can I please ask what the topic is? Well, I just showed everybody, I had a trauma last night, and I just showed everybody a follow-up, and then we started talking about how difficult it is for people to have get insurance where they're not full-time employees. And then we started talking about how a lot of Americans are afraid to grow old because even the insurance that they have, and even Medicare, is not always enough.
I know I want IHOP too right now. Man,
to
that's
get you to a maximum function.
damn, Nadia, now you got me thinking about pancakes.
Thank you, Ebony.
Who wants to go to
Thank
IHOP?
you so much. Thank you, Veronica. Well, I'm gonna let y'all go now.
Let's go meet at IHOP.
Oh, Kimberly, it's good. I'm gonna leave this.
Who's gonna spring? Let's go to
maybe
IHOP.
an hour.
I go to IHOP. I'll get a wop. That's some pancakes.
And so that y'all can see my video, and then I'm gonna deactivate. And maybe I'll say hello and reactivate on Easter. But until then, I hope everybody stays safe. And yeah, thank you. I will, Susanna. I'm going to do that. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Brenda says, my late husband needed a heart transplant. He was only 48, but he was put on a transplant list. He was denied SSI 3 times and would approve.
Yes, now I'm thinking pancakes.
Our health system is messed up. It really is. It really is. But
and a stack of buttermilk pancakes sounds real good right now. I don't care that it's 1 o'clock in the morning. That's why they're open 24/7.
Could make a decision that affected the lives
I would go.
of 1.5 million of its most vulnerable population.
All right. I think I'm going to kill this here. This one anyway, her video.
Think about
right?
Veterans.
Yeah, let's go do a meet and greet at IHOP.
Veterans in the United States. They gave their lives. They enlisted and dedicated their lives for a certain number of years. And some of them actually went into combat and fought for us. Think of them also.
Hey, I'm gonna react to a video. I'm gonna play it right after this.
Children.
Sugar-free syrup?
And the way the veterans
Sorry, I'm gonna use regular syrup.
when they should be the first in
I
line.
don't eat a lot of sugar as it is, so
because they were the first in line for us.
my doctor always said everything in moderation. So
Then imagine
it's in moderation.
Treat them.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Give them first class treatment.
Yes. Whoops! Sorry, that was so loud. Damn, that scared the shit out of me too.
Why the rest of us?
Okay, I've had enough of her with this. If it gets infected, we'll see it later in the next couple of days. I hope it doesn't get infected. You know, if she thinks I'm such a hater, but I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. And I hope it doesn't. But if it does, you know she's going to show it. I don't know. Will she show it? She might not. Like if we don't see her because she said this one she was going to leave it on for about 5 days. This wound, this dressing. She said she was going to leave it on for about 5 days. So if we don't hear back from her, we can assume. I'm using reverse psychology here. If we don't hear back from her, we can assume it probably got infected. She had to go to the doctor, get some antibiotics, get some actual medical care. That's what I'm going to figure. Go figure. That's what I'm going to figure. Okay. Let's watch something here. That's if you guys are up for it. If you can't stay, that's cool. I know it's late. but I've been wanting to react to stuff. I'm just gonna pick a random video. And usually these topics are controversial. Oh, gangrene, that would be the worst. Rachel Zegler. I hate that much. Who would go, like right now, who would go to IHOP? Let's see. All right, let me take out this banner. You guys know what the Whatever podcast is? Have you seen this? You know what I'm talking about? Let me kill the music and then we'll forward to the I will forward to the right spot to get this thing started. If you don't know what this Whatever podcast is, let me know. But a lot of cool stuff happens here. And by cool stuff, I mean discussions and arguments. Let me see when it's going to start, right?
Through Streamlabs instead of super chatting, as YouTube takes a brutal 30% cut. Mick, can you pull that top one up on StreamYards? It's streamlabs.com/whatever.
Imagine having like a second IRS. That's what that's like.
Mick, are you able to? It's in. Never mind. Okay. We do prioritize messages that are made via Streamlabs. To read a message is $100 and up. We will read those in batches, typically every 30 to 60 minutes. But if you want to interact nearly instantly with us and weigh in on the conversation at hand, consider sending a TTS, text-to-speech message. TTS is $200 and up. There is a slight stream moderation delay.
Have you guys seen these discussions at all? Do you know what this is talking about?
Tip and have 100% of your contribution go towards us and no platform fees, no cut. You can via Venmo or Cash App. The link for those are in the description. That's going to be
Al Weezy was on here one time.
Shout out to at regular intervals. We have channel memberships. To become a member, hit the join button. Tier 1 is just $5 a month. Also, guys, drop a like on the video if you can. We're also
I suppose I should
pull up another tab, go to twitch.tv.
give that little spiel. If you're enjoying the program, feel free to tip the jar. It's at Manny behind the mic. Cash App.
You can also follow us
or
on Instagram. If you can't catch the full shows, we have a Clips channel. Link for that is in the description.
$sign Manny behind the mic, or on PayPal it's at Manny behind the mic.
Yep, guys. We post our stream schedule.
Get this thing going. They usually have really good discussions.
Miss Savannah, I'm 24 from Tucson, Arizona. I am a social worker at a psych hospital, animal rehabber, and I do OnlyFans. And I'm kind of independent in the middle, so.
Okay. All right. What about you?
My name is Honey. I'm 27. I have a mental health care background. I currently work at Bella's Hacienda Ranch. Bit of a career change there. I would consider myself leftist.
A mental health care background, yet she works at a brothel. Okay. All right.
What do you do at the ranch?
I'm a legal courtesan, which is the best way that I can say that on YouTube, I believe.
Okay. Got it. All right.
Be really careful with
Andrew,
that.
what about you?
What is that? I don't know what that is.
Courtesan? A woman of the night.
Yeah.
She's a woman of the night.
Okay.
At
a courtesan. Okay.
A courtesan.
Yeah. My name is Andrew Wilson. I'm the host of The Crucible. It's a popular entertainment channel on YouTube. I'm a political analyst, a political satirist, and I engage in conversations, debates all over the world. And I'm happy to have this debate today with you two. So I appreciate you guys coming.
All right.
Thanks
and
for
I'm
having
Brian
me.
Atlas, 35, host of the Whatever podcast, washed up over the hill, has been YouTuber. That's pretty much it for me. All right, so I guess we're going to get into some of our first topics here. You guys seem to have specific disagreements with the podcast, it seems.
Do we?
That was my impression, but
So a lot of people think these guys are very sexist or misogynistic, but they pretty much don't like the fact that girls at such a much younger age, for that matter, any age, they don't like it, but they don't like the fact that girls at such a young age are running to OnlyFans to make money.
Us with this podcast?
Yeah, like the dating talk podcast.
Oh, I mean, I did initially, but since the last time I was on, I realized that you weren't that terrible. So
Not that terrible.
Yeah.
Slightly terrible, though.
Yeah.
What are the things I'm terrible about? Or in terms of my views or whatever?
I don't think that you're that bad anymore. I think that just...
Okay, what about this guy
Can you
next to me?
speak up a little bit, though?
Sorry. I guess our disagreements would probably be about the whole women's voting and some political stuff. I think religion as well. It's kind of hard to disagree on that, but I think we could have a conversation about the morality behind religion.
Sure.
So,
Sure. And then what about you?
I don't have an issue with either one of you. We've never met or interacted. My initial impression of the podcast was simply through clips I've seen
Wanna get
on
to the
like
topic,
TikTok and Instagram, but of course those can always be taken grandly out of context. But after watching a little bit of it, it's way different than I imagined, so
Okay.
I'm happy to be here.
Do you both describe yourselves as feminists?
I've never described myself as a feminist, but yeah, I like women.
Maybe
I'll
a
say-
quick definition's like feminism would be the movement towards an egalitarian society, deconstructing the patriarchy.
No.
No.
Yeah, so feminism is nothing about
Do you think
liking
are
women,
an
right?
oppressed class?
Not in America.
It's not like got nothing to do with lesbianism.
Okay.
Not in America.
Not in America.
So you think men and women have perfectly equal rights? Or at least women have as many rights as men?
I would say so, yeah.
Same for you?
I don't disagree.
Okay. And you don't categorize either of yourselves as feminists, is that correct?
I would have to say no. There's a lot of corners of modern feminism that don't like me
Damn, she's pale as a ghost.
based on what I do for work. So
Okay.
that's kind of tough to navigate in itself.
The sex work conversation. And what do you guys think about, do you think there is a patriarchy?
She had an opening statement actually.
Oh,
that
really?
She wrote.
I did. I wrote.
Oh,
I
yeah,
wrote-
we can, sure,
I'd like to
we
hear it.
can do that.
All right. Okay. I said that I think morality should evolve with society, and I think that empathy is the foundation of a just world, and I think that Trumpism is rooted in division, cruelty, and a lack of accountability. And I think that religion is used to justify harmful and outdated beliefs, especially about women in other countries. And I don't reject the idea of a higher power, but I don't think that a text written by Bronze Age nomads should dictate modern morality. And my stance on politics is about what I believe is right and wrong based on reason and empathy. So I just would like you to consider whether it's truly moral or just convenient for maintaining power when it comes to religion.
I see. Okay.
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 All right. Do you have an opening statement or?
I would keep it very brief. I didn't write anything out. My perspective on religion is that I actually find it slightly delusional in most senses. I would consider myself an atheist, to keep it simple. I actually grew up in the Catholic Church. I know that's a little bit different from Christianity in some aspects, so that's totally fair. However, I think whether you're questioning or unquestioning in your belief of a God in a traditional sense, I personally find it unrealistic, and people don't question it enough. I think delusional is the best way that I can describe it. I'm interested to hear your perspectives, because in what I've learned about you, just in my research before this, I'm actually really interested. to talk to you, and I am coming at this from a non-aggressive, non-argumentative
What up, Luke?
way. I hope to portray that at least.
Probably going to get pretty argumentative. Just not going
And
to lie
that's
to you.
okay. That's
It's
okay.
probably going to be pretty argumentative. You had views on
That guy, Andrew, pretty much in to the right, the second guy from the, pretty much tells it like it is. And that's why some people don't like him.
immigration too, right?
I had some, yeah.
Yeah,
I wonder-
had
let's
some.
start there.
Yeah, I would
with
like to.
immigration. One really quick thing I do want to do a quick secondary thank you to Ogle, who popped a crystal ball for us in our debate just about an hour ago. So
Do it
thank
again,
you again.
Ogle. Do it again, Ogle.
Thank you again, Ogle. I do appreciate your patronage. Let's just get into the immigration thing now. What prompted that conversation in your last appearance? So, Mick, are you able to pull up the tweets? But can you go to the one that's about immigration? Do you know how to do that?
And most of the time, they discuss sex work, OnlyFans.
Here, remember how I showed you?
How do you feel about
on
traditional
the other
women who want to be a
monitor, looks like
traditional
there'd be a bunch of
wife
tweets?
versus those that don't? And they get pretty heated.
And how if you just minimize the Discord,
And usually, there's a
can you
lot
show
more people.
here,
in the room.
Mick? Tell me what is currently up on the monitor, please.
All right, come on, get past this already.
The disc. Next. What the fuck? Next.
There was quite a few.
Next. I apologize to the viewers. I know this is okay.
He's
next.
trying to set up the next.
There it is.
display.
Okay, this is what started the conversation as it pertains to immigration. Elon Musk on February 18th posted, haha, wow, in response to the White House posting, ASMR, illegal alien deportation flight. Scroll down a little bit on this, Mick. Scroll down. Okay, and to which you responded, you have no empathy for men, which led off to a conversation you and I had about immigration. So, are you in favor of illegal immigration?
Didn't you say that morality is based around empathy?
Yes, I did.
So wouldn't that be an immoral position? Or is it just a moral position because you don't have any empathy for this group of people?
What do you mean? I said you have no empathy talking about Elon Musk just because, I'm not for illegal immigration. That's not something that I'm advocating for, but I think that posting it in that way, as if it's funny to do that to people and just pick up their whole lives, I don't think that that's funny. I think it's tragic. And I understand that we have to do it, but I think that it could be done in a better way that's not
What's a better way?
immoral.
So your problem was that he was just laughing about it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do have a problem with that.
But I mean, it is kind of ironically funny, right?
How?
Well, because if you break into my house
Right.
and then the cops come and take you out, I'm probably going to laugh at you, right?
Okay.
Would you laugh at somebody who broke in your house and then?
I do think that's a little bit different, though.
But would you laugh at them?
Sure. Yeah.
Well, where's your empathy for them then? you
Well,
know?
I think that's a little bit different because those people aren't breaking into my house to live a better life. They're breaking into my house probably for a bad reason, I would assume, anyway.
Well, I mean, it's a good reason for them.
Right.
Like their reasons for breaking into your house is they want your stuff for a materially better life, just like the immigrant, right?
Right. Well, I guess that's
Yeah, the immigrant wants to come in illegally and he wants to take advantage of earning a living here or making money and take advantage of facilities and resources. I mean, there's a lot of countries out there that if you enter illegally, they will execute you on the spot. You're just gone. So there's severe punishment for that.
That's subjective based on scenario, but
I mean, I don't think we should do that, but
I don't think that it's right to laugh about that in particular when it comes to immigration.
So you're not for illegal immigration?
I'm not. No, well, obviously not. I mean, I don't think that it is what it is, though. You know, if we could stop it, then I think that would be great. But that's just not. I don't think that that's possible. I don't think that'll ever be possible.
What about deportations? Is that okay?
I think that depends, really, for me, morally. I think obviously criminals. That makes sense. That's been in place
yes,
for a
those
long
two
time. But I think when it comes to kids like in the DACA program, that have
dolls
grown
are
up
there in the
here,
middle,
that
sitting
live,
next to each
like,
other.
in
Those,
another
yeah, they're there on
country and
purpose.
they don't
They're
speak
there
the
every
language,
show.
I think that deporting them is immoral. I think that's wrong, and I understand that
Yeah.
it's their parents' fault. You
Yeah.
know, when they bring them over here, it's a selfish decision. But to put that on the kids kind of just seems unfair to me.
Doesn't it seem unfair to me?
It's an unfair situation all
Yeah.
around. But
So how come? This is what I don't understand about the empathy is morality crowd. I really don't get this part. You say, well, Andrew, we really got to be empathetic towards these people and their plight. And it's like, but at the expense of me and mine. Where's the empathy towards me and mine? And then it just kind of becomes, well, their shit's worse.
right.
Right? It's like, but isn't there supposed to be empathy on both sides?
I totally think that there should be, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard to pick a side when it comes to stuff like this because I agree with I agree with that. But I think that the implications for deporting somebody that's lived here for their whole life and they don't speak the language of their home country versus you having to deal with that person in a Walmart, I feel like it's a little bit of a different situation when it comes to.
Well, I
how
understand it
judgmental
sucks
is.
for them.
Yeah.
Like, I get that. They're going to have a lot of readjusting to do. You
Right.
know what I mean? But, not every DACA recipient is under that, by the way.
No, not all of them.
But the thing is even for the ones who are, right? If you are to, this is one of the big kind of like primary problems maybe we can dive into with your empathy is morality thing. What about looking forward 30 years? So it's like right now we can be empathetic towards these people, right? That's true. But what if you send the signal that this is now okay? And so more illegals come in, have children here, understanding that, well, these kids in 20 years can make the same claim as the former DACA recipients. And now we have to make all of them citizens as well, bypassing all of the other people who are in line. Not much empathy for those people, right?
Right.
And creating now a perverse incentive for more people to come and do it. Seems like it's the least empathetic thing to do.
Well, what would your solution be then when it comes to deportation and legal immigration?
I would kick out every single illegal immigrant who was here and everybody here who wasn't a naturalized citizen.
Okay.
Gone. They have no business being in our nation. Nation is, from my perspective, it's culture, borders, language. That's how a very famous talk radio host Michael Savage used to frame it. I largely agree with that assessment. Culture, border, language.
Right.
So in this case, illegal immigrants who come in, they don't have the same culture. They often, like even at the hotel I'm staying at, half of them don't speak English, right?
Right.
And they've already violated the borders. So, like, what for me, that's already criminal. So when you say things like "let's deport the criminals," I'm like, well, there they are.
Okay.
Right? They're already criminals from my perspective.
Right.
They've already broken in here. So.
When it comes to parents that come here and they have a kid here, though, and they raise that kid here, obviously they made a choice to do that. It's a selfish choice because they know that could be a possible implication. Do you still think that that's fine to?
Well, the law of the land is that if you're born here, you become a naturalized citizen.
Right.
So
that's not. So that would be.
I want to repeal that.
Okay.
I would like for there to be a different interpretation that says that a naturalized citizen you have to have a mom and a dad and both of them are native to the nation, and then they have a child, that child becomes native to the nation.
Right.
I would get rid of the soil policy altogether, but that natural born would require your mom and your dad both be citizens of the nation, and then you become a citizen. That's like my ideal citizenship policy.
So when it comes to immigrants working here, do you not think that they are good for the economy? Do you think that they are harming it?
Sure, slave labor is good for the economy.
Okay. It's different.
Well, not really. So it's because they have no documentation, they can be paid under the table. They send remittances back to their home nation, which is untaxed, right? Totally untaxed remittances in the hundreds and hundreds of millions. If not, I think it's billions actually that they send back in remittances, but don't quote me on that. It's at least hundreds of millions.
Okay.
They're sending back to their home nations. That's non-taxable. The employer is able to squeeze out American citizens for the jobs because now they can pay under the table.
Right.
And then they do work visa programs, but they're totally rigged.
Right.
So the work visa programs are totally rigged for various companies. The whole thing is a massive clusterfuck when it comes to that. So yeah, I don't think that that's good policy. I think that you're just kind of promoting slave labor essentially by giving people perverse incentives to have people come across the border, and then they have children here, and now we have a conundrum, right?
Right.
Like, oh, what do we do now?
Well, I definitely am not advocating for slave labor. Or people getting paid under wage. I don't advocate for that, but just for an example, like let's just say that you have a construction company and you have 100 illegal immigrants working for you. You're paying them under minimum wage, and then we deport all of them. So in what I think logically is, I don't think that these businesses would be hiring 100 American citizens and then paying them a just wage. I think that they would be spending the same amount of money but hiring less people, which would just make everything less efficient.
Then why don't we just bring everybody into the United States?
Well, I don't think that's really an argument.
It's not an argument, it's a question.
Well, I am not advocating for that. That's not.
Yeah, but why not? If it just is going to perpetually increase the GDP and it's going to perpetually increase the amount of cheap labor that businesses can get, why not just bring everybody here or bring hundreds of millions a year here?
But do you understand my point, though? Like, do you?
No, not really. You're just saying if you have a business and the business has 100 employees, right? And suddenly the business owner had to pay a fair market competitive wage, he would have less employees.
Yeah.
That seems like it's the advocation again of slave labor.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that this is how I think it would go. I don't think that these businesses would hire American citizens at the same rate and pay them a higher wage. I think that it would.
But isn't that why we want to get rid of illegals, so that businesses have to hire our citizens at a competitive wage?
Yep.
But do you see how it would make things less efficient? And again, I'm not advocating for paying people below minimum wage, but unfortunately it is what it is. So just thinking about it in terms of that, would that not make it less efficient?
Yeah, so if you want to understand the implication of your argument here, what you're doing is you're advocating on behalf of rich industrialists. So if rich industrialists can pay people who are not American citizens less money to do jobs that then they make more money off their back and they don't have to actually employ the American public, they gravitate towards that. You actually have created a perverse incentive for illegals to come here, be second-class citizens, and get paid less than the normal American.
Right.
Like that seems totally like contrary to what you actually want.
Well, I'm not advocating for that. I think that just thinking about it logically, like that's how these people run their businesses. That's why they hire illegal immigrants so that they can pay them less.
Sure. People violate the law all the time in order to make more money. Which
I don't agree with, but I'm saying, like, would that not make things less efficient if you had less workers?
Yeah, yes, it would make things less efficient if you had less workers. But however, this could easily be applied to slavery. Ending slavery is bad because it would be less efficient because we would have less workers.
Right.
Right?
I do find a big distinction between slavery and illegal immigration, though, because those people
Yeah, but
are here by choice.
Sure,
getting
but the
paid.
consistency of the argument is the same. So that your value that you're arguing is about efficiency.
Right.
So it's like, okay, great. Yes, it is more efficient, but also here's another scenario which would also be more efficient.
Well, sure, but that's a comparison that just.
So it seems like efficiency is not really what you're trying to argue then. You must be trying to argue something else. Because if you take efficiency and you say, well
I think
this will hurt the efficiency of the business, it's like, so is taking black people out of cotton fields. That hurts the efficiency of the cotton field, right?
Well, in that scenario, in a slavery scenario, obviously I'm not advocating for that, but I think illegal immigrants, they want to be here, they came here, they want to work, they want to make money, they're contributing to our system.
So did slaves.
But not by choice, and they're not getting paid.
That's
So
true,
there's
but then
a very big difference.
Then the value here must be something that's not efficiency. You must be arguing something that's not efficiency then. Because you keep on saying, well, it's less efficient. It's like, I can grant that, but
That's
then...
just an example of how I think that illegal immigration has done something good for our economy, whether I think it's morally just or not. I think that you can say that it's
I
made
agree.
things
Illegal
more...
immigration can be super helpful to the economy in some aspects, but it can also be very draining in other aspects.
Yeah.
For the instance, these people are not paying into the tax system for basic things like government subsidies for emergency care. Right, it happens in emergency rooms. California had some of the finest hospitals in the world, which were bankrupted by illegal immigrants, using them basically as the emergency room as a health facility. Right.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of net drains also that they get, including fraud for Social Security, fraud for stealing people's identities, all sorts of fraud that drains the system, not to mention remittances, which aren't taxed. So the thing is like, if you're making the moral argument based on efficiency, I think that's not what you mean. You
That
don't
was
mean
just-
efficiency. You're just pointing out an example of how they can be a boon.
Yeah, that was just an
But I would just
example.
agree. I would just agree there can be cases where they definitely help the economy.
Okay.
They're just in net, even if you made the case, and I agreed with it, that they mostly assist the economy, that's not the only dynamic of the problem we're looking at. Right?
Yeah, definitely not. That's just an example of why I think illegal immigration has been good in some ways.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Go ahead.
Actually,
Like
not in,
specifically where I live as well.
it's a good discussion, but I'm not enjoying the immigration topic. They get into other stuff here. Let's see. Here, do you see the list? You can see what I'm looking at, right? This is a long podcast. This is 5 hours. So obviously we're not going to sit through all of it, but okay, let me say the organization parasocial. What is a parasocial? I think Digital Dimwit and I talked about this before. I think.
Your buddy, right? I'm just an entertainer. You happen to be a fan, right? This parasocial kind of relationship. Not that I haven't had fans that have become friends, because I have.
Right.
But I'm just saying, generally speaking, I try to put the
Oh,
kibosh
yes.
on that immediately, right
Right.
away.
Nancy, I did hear
Your
about
angle,
that,
though,
yes.
Right? A parasocial relationship is going to be way, way more likely because of the nature.
Sure.
Yeah. Because of the nature of what you're doing. So
But
that puts you at a higher elevated risk in comparison to even other people in similar industries.
But I also don't use my my name or anything, my real name. So
And do you think that would stop people?
I think it would make it a little bit harder.
Sure.
But I mean, I've been doing it for a while. I think some people definitely do have a parasocial relationship with me.
I was just watching a story this morning. There was a guy, I don't remember his name, but he was like a bald dude, and he developed a parasocial relationship with an OnlyFans girl, and he began to spend his family's credit card money.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, started spending his family's money on her. He became completely obsessed. He became totally irate, and when they tried to put the kibosh on the relationship, he was so invested that he actually murders his entire family in order to continue this relationship.
Right.
Now, I'm willing to grant, right, that there are musicians and other people out there who are so ridiculously famous that there's deranged fans who would do something similar with them and they're not in sex work. I'm just stating that the chances of it are way higher in your industry.
And wouldn't that be part of my responsibility as well, though? Like being on the internet to make sure these people don't get connected to me in that way or attached to me in that way? Because I do try.
Well, I think the nature of what you do is to try to create this kind of relationship literally on purpose. So, and this is all by the nature of the work itself. It's not saying, so I'm going to try to be charitable here. I think you try to divorce yourself. What's your name? I'm sorry.
Savannah.
Savannah?
Savannah.
Savannah. That Savannah, the person's trying to divorce herself from Savannah, the sex worker. These are two different people. When Savannah, the sex worker, is doing sex work, that's not really who she is. She's this whole other person who likes flowers and unicorns and pretty nails or whatever the fuck it is, right? Like whatever that person is not this person. But this person who does do the sex work is being provocative, trying on purpose to be seductive, trying on purpose in order to make a person feel a certain way, a certain connection so that they open up their wallet and give you money.
Okay.
Right? And I think that is part of the nature of that work, whereas for most other types of work, on camera, film, things like this, that is not the case.
How is this different, though?
Because this is not designed to seduce. This is not designed to introduce the parasocial aspect in. It's much more straightforward. So like, assume a Hollywood actor is really straightforward too. I'm providing you entertainment, I get paid, right? I'm not really here to, I am trying to elicit emotions in you, but the emotions aren't specifically the idea of I'm seducing you and creating the context that there's something here between us. That's the feeling I'm trying to introduce. Like in your sex work, for instance, do you ever moan really loud? Do you ever pretend that you're really into it when you're not? Do you ever, the answer is likely yes, right?
I actually do a lot of different kinds of services that actually lean far more towards, trying to be careful with my wording, kink-centered, I would say.
Sure.
It's far less of, the standard stereotypical stuff for me personally.
But are you pretending on purpose to enjoy things maybe you don't enjoy? You're pretending to be into those things when you're not really into them because you're trying to elicit a response from the person that gives into whatever their fantasy is, right?
Me personally, no, because I don't offer any kind of service that I wouldn't enjoy delivering on. I do have that luxury. I don't speak for everyone. I only speak for myself.
So you've never pretended to be more into it than you're not?
I don't have to.
Oh, okay. Well, you would agree, though, that at least in your industry, that women are going to be moaning, they're going to be like screaming at the top of their lungs, they're going to be doing things like this, even though they ordinarily...
It does happen. Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it happens with you too, whether you admit it or not. But that aside, coming back to this, the idea here is that you're specifically trying to get those responses,
right?
Whereas I think that other forms of entertainment specifically are not trying to develop the parasocial aspect.
I totally agree about the safetiness of it, but I think taking measures to make sure that in case anything happens, you can protect yourself. I think, regardless of if I did sex work or not, I would want to have that protection. Yeah. So I don't feel any less safe doing it, but I get to be at home. So
yeah. But I mean, these are tiered arguments, right? So the first tier is the safety of even the prostitute in this case,
right,
and of the John are paramount. We got we have the overarching STDs, which are in this industry, which including OnlyFans have an overrepresentation of STDs against the general public. Why? Because they do GG content.
Right.
And oftentimes they're not as rigorously even tested as the people in the porn industry are when they do that sort of content. So then we have to compete with that. With the amount of STDs that come in, then we have to deal with the trafficking that comes in with this. And then also, I mean, the list just is like endless of the societal ills that come with sex work. Whereas banning it, what bad happens when we ban this? That there's a black market potentially that opens up for it?
Well, I think South Korea is a good example of what happens when you do ban porn.
It's not really banned there. I know officially it is, but it's not actually.
But I think they have higher rates of rape and sexual assault, and they also have the law there that...
Then what, the United States? Definitely not.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm willing to concede if I'm wrong because we're talking about stats off the top of our head. But can you look at the...
It's hard to pull things up.
Yeah, I see. I see.
Okay. Well,
I'm willing to concede if I'm wrong on that, but I would find it kind of stunning if it was the case, or if that was the case and there wasn't underlying reasons for it that aren't as obvious as what you're portraying.
Or detailed.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it is true that
some countries
South
are
Korea,
keeping their
it is banned, but it's not
statistic
IP banned,
on
really.
crime.
Right.
So people can still access it when they want. It's a very westernized nation. Right.
Yeah.
And I would even argue that absent feminism and the various herbivore movements that are going on in these Asian nations, what do they call it now? Not herbivore,
Isn't that the term, herbivore?
Well, that's for
man?
Japan, but whatever, where women are
that?
checking out and men are checking out of the Department of Relationship, period, because they don't want to be with these feminists. That you probably wouldn't see that sort. Yeah, you probably.
4B.
Yeah, there you go. That you probably wouldn't see that sort of consumption. Even the IP ban consumption, you probably wouldn't see that. So there's other things that are going on in South Korea, which I would contribute to. Other crises which are happening there, not because of
Not just because
corn
of
being
corn.
banned.
Oh,
Yeah,
corn.
that's actually a very popular position there, by the way, to keep it banned.
Right,
Like people
I'm
reintroduce
sure.
trying to get it approved again, and it just gets smacked down every time. So
Yeah, I think that there could be some regulations when it comes to corn in America.
okay, well maybe we can get agreement then.
Okay.
So maybe we can find some agreement here. Here's my perfect compromise plan, right?
Okay.
You have to show ID.
Yeah,
You have to upload ID in order to get on a corn website.
I agree.
Have to.
I agree.
Okay. Period. And there needs to be some sort of verification there
I
for
agree
that.
with that.
Yeah, you agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree with that.
What do you think will happen to the market though? when
Well,
that
the thing
happens?
is that OnlyFans already does that. So nobody can get on to my OnlyFans unless they upload their ID that says that they're 18 plus. So, but as for Pornhub and that, I don't know. I've never
the
really
age,
looked
the
at-
next thing I would implement is that at the very least, the age of sex work needs to start at 26.
26.
Yeah,
okay.
so if we began alcohol, if we raised the age of alcohol to 21, this is arbitrary, but we just think, well, you're probably not responsible enough to have a drink or a cigarette until you're 21. We can kind of arbitrarily set it forward from there, right? I think that this is a huge decision.
I mean, that brings up
18,
a
19,
topic
20,
of
21-year-olds probably shouldn't make. So let's
what
make it
can
26.
adults do with their own bodies,
Would that work?
and
No.
at what age?
Not gonna like that part.
18
Well,
is
I see
you're an
where you're
adult,
coming
and then
from, but
21 you're allowed to actually drink.
I do think when it comes to stuff like OnlyFans,
Well, I think it's 21, and here in Texas it's 21.
To my career, my schooling, or anything.
But what do you think
and
about
I
putting a
started
cap
out when
on
I was
or a minimum
20 or 21?
for doing
not about
OnlyFans kind of
Well,
work?
yeah,
You got to
but
be,
obviously this
25,
is-
26,
affects
or
you.
whatever.
My example.
But it affects me.
Does that get
It affects
into?
him. It affects everybody, right? All societal ripples are that way. So
Right.
the question is like, should I have?
Does that get into starting to interrupt our freedoms?
Is like, if we can't outright ban
And
it, which
what
I
are the
would
freedoms
prefer,
that people,
right, then we can set in such rigors to it that it greatly
as
reduces
adults,
the
can
consumption
decide
rate.
to do for themselves?
Okay. I agree with the ID
I
verification.
don't know how I feel about having such a
Not
massive
the age going
restriction.
up.
No.
Like, you gotta be 26,
I do
you know?
see where you're coming from, though. People that get into it the day they turn 18, it's
Yeah, no problem.
but I just people are allowed to make their own choices, and it is what it is, you know?
No, we don't let people make their own choices if they're bad for society. We regulate shit all the time.
Okay, I don't see a 21-year-old making OnlyFans content. I don't see that.
If you knew a product was poisonous, but it just killed a person slowly over time.
Alcohol?
Right? Well, sure, let's even take that.
Okay.
Right? If your like 18-year-old son wanted alcohol, would you tell him he should have it?
Yeah, he can have a little. I mean, yeah,
you can have
he can
the
have
non-poisonous
a beer.
dose, right?
Well, you can have a beer. Well, sure, but my rebuttal for this is that every person that consumes corn, they have the responsibility to consume it in a decent amount.
Totally
it's their
agree.
responsibility to not get corn rot.
Yeah, but here's the thing that's funny. It's like I can agree with you and at the same time still be right. So I'll explain.
You know what they mean by
I agree with
corn,
you
right?
that the consumer also has
You know why they
responsibility,
have to say
just
corn.
like the producer.
If you don't know,
right?
let me know.
But which one's way more easy to regulate? The millions of consumers or the few producers?
Right. I mean, that's true, but it's all the same with alcohol, though. You know, people are alcoholics, but it's their fault. You know, we're not going to ban alcohol.
Well,
because
but what
people
happens? Well, what do we see with alcohol?
Well, what
We
happened?
see
when
national
we
campaigns everywhere. Don't drink and drive. Don't consume this. This is poisonous. This is bad for you. We're not allowed to advertise it on television. You're not allowed to, you know what I mean? You can't advertise it here. You can't put it on YouTube. You can't, you know what I mean? There's all sorts of various things and all sorts of restrictions and massive national campaigns. You have Mothers Against Drunk Driving. The penalties for drunk driving are through the roof. You know what I mean? You get additional penalties you wouldn't even get if you were perhaps stoned or something else in certain states.
Right.
We have huge campaigns against this. Where's that for corn? Nowhere.
Well, the examples that you're bringing up, drinking and driving, people do die from that.
People die from this as well. I just gave you an example of a person who had a parasocial relationship.
Okay,
He doffed his entire family, but not only that,
There's a podcast called
these
Whatever.
behaviors
And they
ultimately
talk about a lot of
aren't
issues. A
just
lot of
for
them end
drinking
up
and
being
driving.
about
the national campaigns against the behavior
sex
themselves.
workers,
Drinking is not
OnlyFans,
great, right? It's not something. There's open
young
container
women
laws
who
everywhere.
are getting into
everything that you
OnlyFans
see
at a
in
younger
society
age.
is stigmatizing
And
alcohol,
resorting to
except
it.
in a small case use specific
Make a
type of
living
thing.
and-
You know what I mean? And that's at the national level.
So right now they're
Now,
talking
would there
about,
be
you know,
good
should the
point for
age
prostitutes if they
to
were like,
get into
"Look,
something like this
is
be like
stigmatized
26
at the
years
national
old?
level and people still want to do it? At least there would be some resistance, but it's like it's just glorified.
And these two
Where's
are
the state
OnlyFans
glorifying alcohol?
workers.
Nowhere.
Well, I don't know if I would say that it's glorified. I think it's heavily censored. Like,
It's totally glorified.
You can't have people making corn on the side of the road. Like, that's not allowed. That's not legal. Like, there are things put in place.
Yeah, there's restrictions which existed pre the corn industry for public decency. That's true. But when you're talking about what are we doing on a societal level to push back against it, societies use stigmatization and things like this in order to push out behavior that we don't like. We do this at the national level all the time. So if you want to see more LGBTQ people, what do? You have LGBTQ Awareness Month, and you have all sorts of like pro propaganda or that, again, negative connotation on the word propaganda, but everybody knows what the word means, right? You would have tons of propaganda towards LGBTQ. You'd have tons of propaganda towards those things, reinforcing that they're good. This is good. We want more of this. Good. You see it all over the news. It's good. That helps propagate that into the ethos is this is behavior which we consider to be acceptable and decent, and we want to see more of it. The opposition to that would be if you had like pro-family and pro-nuclear family and
they're saying corn
patriarchy propaganda.
as not to
like
say
this,
the word
see a lot more
porn.
of that. So we adjust
Because some platforms are really
conditions
picky
based
about
on,
words and they get
what we
demonetized
see
or
as stigmatization or not.
restricted,
When I look at
so they
alcohol,
won't
it
say
seems
the
like
word porn.
Everything moves towards
They say
stigmatization.
corn.
Everything moves towards don't be a drunk. Don't be doing this. This is not good.
Right.
I have to read a couple chats. So we have, guys, if you want, Reed is 100, TTS is 200, Spawny, we do these at intervals, but I appreciate your message. Yours is coming up first. Okay, Spawny. All right, CBP1 app was allowing illegals to bypass showing up at the border and flown in directly into the country. Biden was worried was worried about the border optics. That is how Haitians overran Ohio and ate cats and dogs. All right. Thank you for that, Spawny. Appreciate it. We have a super chat here from Kenneth Goudreau. Can I have you read the super chat for me?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
From the Crucible here, Brian, can I get a shout out to my son Maverick? Andrew loved seeing you on Piers Morgan. Sorry, off topic here. Respect.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Thank you, Kenneth, for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I shout out to Kenneth, his son. Let's see, I'll do it into this camera. Yo, Maverick, you're a legend. Thank you, man. And your dad's a legend too. Kenneth, you're also a legend. Glad you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you. Could you read this one from Nathan?
Hey, Brian, this is my first time super chatting.
Thank you, Nathan.
Big fan of the show and of you, Andrew, Rachel, and Jake the Rattlesnake. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yo,
Everybody there
thank
is
you, man.
good except for Jake. He's scum.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
And
he's Australian.
Well, he's the fake king of
Not
Australia.
crappy. That means a good
Usurped
discussion,
title
but
from
usually
Australia.
gets
much more base than he is in every way.
Okay, there you go. Well, Kenneth
Loud.
and Nathan, thank you guys for these super chats. And let me see if there's okay, we're good on. Drew Desiree is mixed. So I'm reading the chat now.
I'm just
They're
skipping a
saying
little
hell
bit.
no,
Don't listen
hell
to
yeah,
them at all.
yes, yes, no, yes,
It's
no.
not. It's not a democracy.
No, yes, yes, no.
It's not a democracy.
Well, guys, so it wouldn't be Desiree tonight, but it would be Priscilla. So, and then there's also the girl with the dyslexia. The girl who was sitting right there on last episode. She's also still in town, so maybe we could have her.
Good
Let
Lord.
me skip.
Have
Rattlesnake
rattlesnake
and
and
Shambles.
shamble.
Right. Because
Indian gymnasts. And then we move our way up. We get to like Costa Rica. Then we can get to Mexico.
I felt like it would be a little bit unfair for her to be on here by herself.
yes, that's true.
Well,
I-
originally it was just going to be a 1v1. So I doubled it up because
Yell at him.
I offered to, and you never responded.
wait, what?
I said we could yell at each other if you want, but I'm not just going to do that for no reason.
Wait, I'm not sure what you're talking about.
When I asked for the address, and I was like, also, we can yell at each other if you want. Like, we can have beef for
we don't
entertainment
stage.
purposes.
We don't stage stuff.
It
I
was a
really
joke.
don't.
All the beef is
Yeah, it was a joke.
natural.
Okay, but originally you were like, hey, I want to be her debate partner. What do you want to debate?
She's good with religion. She knows a lot about.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how the structure works, given I could only watch so many episodes at
Well,
a time before getting
well,
here, so
in
I'm
this
just kind of
format-
waiting to be prompted.
Yeah, in this format, it's open. It's an
Okay.
open debate because, like during a panel, it's not because there's so many people and you're getting to, and
Those are
it's
most
not.
of the
It's
episodes
not even
that I
designed
saw.
necessarily to be a debate. There's going to be some debate that happens, but it's not always designed for debate at all. It's just
Okay.
designed for
I
people
think
to have an
most
open
of the
convo.
clips I've seen, it was with the panel, so I think I got a little confused, and I don't want to interrupt anyone either.
Yeah.
Like letting your conversation.
Yeah,
with
yeah, that
her.
was fine.
I didn't feel the need to butt in on that because I felt a lot of good things were being said. So
Yeah.
Is religion something we can discuss, or
Yeah.
is that boring for you guys? We don't have to talk about
I'm
it.
not a religious debater. Andrew's
Okay.
probably a bit more well versed in that. What are your criticisms of religion?
You said it was delusional.
yeah, I would definitely say so. I think it is wildly illogical to me from my perspective. I don't understand personally why a God that seems to glorify suffering to earn peace and eternal life, why? What's deserving of worship?
Yeah,
What's
but how do
deserving
you?
of?
But this is a problem. Is like you use religious terms in order to criticize religion. Like when you say words like suffering, how do you account for suffering? Suffering just means shit that you don't like. That's it. That's all suffering means.
Like, and narrow it down a little bit. I mean, if I
You're
could
going to
use-
narrow. You will, but you're just going to narrow it down to subjective experiences I don't like or don't prefer.
think
And if
it's-
if that's not what it narrows down to, I'm going to be stunned, but I'm going to let you narrow it down. So what is suffering?
I would say the suffering I was more referring to would be suffering that I believe is more unjust, not just because someone made a bad decision or messed up. I'm more referring to children and cancer and horrific things like that. The most common thing that I've ever been told is everything happens for a reason, and if this terrible thing happens to this young child, leukemia, things like that, that it was all God's will.
Oh.
And I personally don't understand that whatsoever, because what has such a young child done to deserve any kind of
That's
test
really
from
strange that
God?
you're in you were raised Catholic
Yes.
and they told you it's in God's will
Yes.
that people get cancer.
It's all part of God's plan.
I see. Okay. Well, the problem is, again, so all of the criticisms that you would come up with for religion, right? You have to account for all of them. So when you say words like just, it's loaded. Like, what is justice? Well, I can give you two forms of justice.
Hey,
There's a
Ali.
Christian form of justice you're probably more used to, like empathy.
Yeah, I watch it all the time,
you
and usually
came
I
in and
don't
you
know.
stole
I
a bunch
thought
of shit
this was
from
going to be a
my
little
house.
more
Is it then
explosive
just for
because
me
they
to
do
go
get
and steal a
into.
bunch of shit from your house?
I mean, there'll be good discussions, but they'll get
No.
into real
That's
shouting
really
matches.
weird, though, because I can give you a completely alternative view
Maybe
of justice that
search for
seems
one of
like it's
those.
totally within the confines of reason. If you steal from my house for me to be able to steal from yours, that seems completely within the line of reason. Seems totally logical to me. There's nothing illogical about it. There's no violations of the laws of logic, right? It's well within reason. What's the problem? The problem is you just don't prefer that kind of justice, right?
Sure. I'm also not 100% clear on some of the differences between Catholic and Christian teachings. You know, I can say
Catholics are Christians, I would say.
I've been told by a few people that therere's like some different teachings or how they're interpreted personally. So I'm totally.
Will not
It is
consider
a
them to
kind
be
of,
Christians. Yes, that's true.
Okay.
Christianity.
So if there's
I would just largely chop it up to three. There'd be, I chop it up this way, okay? Most Orthodox would just say everything that's not Orthodox is Protestant. But I just chop it up to, there is Protestantism. These are all of the branches of Christianity which came from Martin Luther after the schism. And then there's Catholicism, which came from Orthodoxy
Okay,
after
I think
the
I found
schism.
a
And then there's Orthodoxy, the
different
original
clip.
Church of
You
Christ.
guys okay if we switch?
That's how I would
Whoever's
view
left
it.
in here anyway.
Right.
So how do you? I mean, I've read most of the Old Testament. I haven't finished it. Some of the new one, but when it comes to science and religion, I know that's always like such an annoying topic. But
I
how
don't
do
want to
you
be putting everybody to
justify the
sleep.
Bible?
I thought this one I thought it'd be a little bit more, I don't know, animated, I guess. Let's switch over to this one. Now you're gonna hear them refer to Bangs, Bangs, and that's the name of the girl in the middle, on the right side in the middle. I think for obvious reasons.
25-year-old married mom here. Hubs mom here.
Oops. Okay.
Go for it.
25-year-old married mom here. Hubs is high value, 6'4", 6 figs, loyal, protective, handsome. You ladies have high value men telling you what they want, but it doesn't matter. Why should what you want matter then, especially Bang?
Why should what you want matter then? Because it's me? What do you mean? What do you mean my opinion doesn't matter? What? That's so weird.
Well, she's saying they're high value, and
They're high value.
They're telling you. They're telling you.
Okay.
They're telling you what they want. So I guess in a easier question, what value do you bring to them?
I don't know. I think I do a lot of stuff. When I'm in love, I go over the top all the time.
But so does everybody. So what specifically do you bring to the table to satisfy a 1 to 5%er man?
Well, by the way, she rejects that we're high value, but
Right. I don't know. What would I do? Honestly, if I had a high value man, like this man's bringing in the money, I'm sorry to say this, I'm gonna be his bitch. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest. I would be his bitch. Like, I would fucking cook, clean, everything. Anything
What if
wanted.
he wasn't bringing money?
Oh, well,
Then
I don't know. Maybe
he
if
would be
I'm
the
still
bitch.
in love. If
Well,
I'm,
not only
He would
that,
be
but
the
in
question
order,
said high value.
in order to
male.
get a high value
value.
man, you have to be a high value woman, which means you need to do things that other girls don't do. So, for example, do you go out to clubs or bars?
No.
You're on OnlyFans though?
Yeah.
Okay, that isn't something a
I
high
don't
value
post
woman
porn,
does. Doesn't matter.
We
OnlyFans
see
is
it.
known for that, and you're subscribed.
associated with it.
You're associated with it. So if you associate yourself with the wrong crowd, people are going to take you and put you in that wrong crowd, even if you're really not. So you have to continue to be a high value woman, but you can't do that if you're subscribing or having men subscribe to what you're selling on the internet.
I'm just trying to make my money.
There are other ways to make money.
Okay. So I don't know what to tell you. If you have a problem with me having an fans, I don't know. You want me to delete it or
No,
something?
you could do whatever you
I don't think it's
want.
that she has
You could
a
do whatever you
problem,
want.
Is if you're not. If
I'm
you
just letting
wanna
you know.
Stay in
Yeah,
a
go, sorry.
relationship with a high value man, you need to be able to bring more than just what the basic things that you should already be doing. You need to be adding value to the relationship. So it's not just about the very bare minimum of cooking and cleaning and being his whatever you
Bitch,
said.
yeah.
Like it's not just that. It's a lot more. And it's not that she
So what
has
does-
a problem. We don't have a problem with you, but it's just a different way of looking at.
So what does
a
a
healthy
high-value
relationship
woman have to do?
I
That's
bet
my
Eric.
question. Like, what makes a high value woman? I think I asked that last time.
I feel like that's something the men should answer. I mean, I have an answer, but
Do you think you're a high value woman?
I do.
Good.
So a high value woman would be, she cooks, she cleans, keeps the traditional mindset for the most part, doesn't go out. What I say not necessarily goes. It's like I can take what you say into consideration, but if you're gonna like argue with me, give me a hard time, like from what I'm seeing from what you say that you have to offer is you have the OnlyFans account, you demand him to have the same, whenever he asks you to delete your Instagram or something like that, he would have to do it as well. So there's a landscape that is difficult to traverse with you. And so like honestly, like if a man was gonna try and take you seriously, he would probably just smash and pass.
I think you have to be a good follower to your partner. You have to be able to submit to him and
I
follow.
would if I was really in love with a man.
But I don't think you need to be in love with him, because are you doing these things in the dating stage or in the getting to know stage? Because that's where you build that foundation of a healthy relationship. Because if you're already saying that you don't want to delete your Instagram or you're going to keep your OnlyFans, even if
I'm not saying I'm gonna keep my OnlyFans. If I got in a relationship or even I was like talking to somebody or something, and he told me to delete my OnlyFans out of respect, I would do that.
But
So-
how are you going to get into a high value relationship if you have an OnlyFans? Because it puts you in that same crowd that Liz was saying.
I'm gonna follow up on that point
So
right there.
OnlyFans girls can't have can't find high value men.
Hold on just a sec.
Nanny, your value is Oslo. Walmart wouldn't even stock you.
Okay. Do you have a response to him? Maybe you are stocked in Walmart. Who knows? Like Target? Target's a more reputable establishment.
Target.
Kmart?
Kmart.
You don't know Kmart?
No, I
think
do,
it's
but
out of
Kmart is
business.
out of business.
Yeah.
Come on, Brian.
Oh,
Pick a
Sears?
Blanco.
Yeah.
Sears is
Sears?
also.
Yeah.
R.I.P. boys.
So
R.I.P.
I wanted to piggyback on what you had to say. So shout out Zentience. He's a brain surgeon, right? You said he's a brain surgeon?
Brain surgeon, and believe it or not, rocket scientist also.
Rocket scientist.
Like
Oh.
he first got into rocket science, and then he's like, this shit's too easy.
Is
and
this
then
a
he,
real person?
Yeah.
I don't think this is a real
I
person.
have to get
feeling
up
that
for a
you're
sec, but
lying.
continue
Me
the
too.
conversation.
Of course. So W Zentience. So to be a brain surgeon, rocket scientist at that as well, he had to go through trials, tribulations, go to school, had to get what is it, the degree? I don't know the degree. A doctorate. So he had to go through a lot of effort to become that. And before he got a job as that doctor, in order to do that, you have to fill out the prerequisites. And you have to do that before you are actually a brain surgeon, before you get hired, before you shoot a rocket into space or play a part in it. So why should a man take you seriously if you don't take the prerequisites to become a high value woman before you're in a relationship before you're even in one.
I just live my life, man. I don't care if I will. I don't know how you want me to answer this. I think if,
I want you to answer how you feel.
And
like,
I'm gonna
what you
answer,
wanna
and I'm
answer.
answering you. I'm telling you, I just do whatever I want. If a man is gonna, I think I want to be with a man that's gonna respect me, and if I don't know, like hopefully not have a problem with OnlyFans. I know a lot of guys probably do, but I don't know. I think if I really like somebody, I'm trying to pursue them, trying to get in a relationship with them, then yeah, I would.
So if you're trying to get in a relationship with them, I understand that you don't care what most people think, and shout out, like most people shouldn't care what other people think if they want to strive to their goals and stuff, and dreams, aspirations. But in order to get a relationship with someone that you want, typically high value, probably makes a lot of money, I would assume, can take care of you, where you would want to delete all your social medias, etc., and be loyal to him, wouldn't you want to actually like do what you need to do prior to meeting that person?
So I should delete my Instagram and my OnlyFans.
I'm not saying delete it now.
I'm single right now and I'm
he,
having fun. I'm not looking for a relationship. So no,
how old
I don't.
Are you?
I'm 21.
You're 21.
Yeah.
I understand. Do you
I'm
think
still really young.
You are, and you're
and I wanna.
And the world is your oyster.
Yeah, I want to experience new things. Yeah, I think, and honestly, like.
Hold on, guys.
10 out of 10, humble, super chatted $50.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Women used to keep other women in check with wisdom and sometimes shame. That is sorely lacking in the West these days. Older/wiser women don't do enough to keep younger, more naive, narcissistic women in check. Men have become soft and weak too.
Yo, thank you for the TTS, man. Really appreciate it.
This is true.
Well, I mean, there's a different order to the world now. We're in, I guess, a new world order, so to speak. So let's bring it back to high value really quick. So you were saying something about kind of the original was like, I think, just a regular soup chat.
Yeah.
Trying to find it here. Let me see if I can find it. Well, so and I'm not saying this to criticize you, but you know, based off of like your appearance on the last show, I think you're gonna give your guy a lot to wrestle with, like because you're a little bit combative, and I don't think a lot of men like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think honestly, like when you're in a relationship, you shouldn't just want like a very submissive person that isn't going to like help you grow. A woman helps you grow. A woman will challenge you pretty much, and it's trying to make you better. But I feel like it's just very submissive. Like if you're in a relationship and you're just like the head and you're like, oh, I gotta say in this, and the woman doesn't. I think that's very unfair. I think it's really important to like compromise and for both people to communicate and express the way they feel. But I don't think the man should just be like telling the girl what to do in the relationship. I don't think that's right.
Well, do you want a leader?
I think so, maybe.
Well, because I feel like you can't have the best of both worlds. Like if you want a guy who's a leader, in other words, a guy who takes initiative, because a lot of women will say, I want a guy who has a plan, who knows what he's doing. You know, for example, for a first date, a lot of girls, and I'll see this on dating apps, they say, I don't want a guy who asks me what I want to do. They were like, meet here, this time, this place, be ready then, like all that stuff, right? So you don't want that?
Personally, no.
Yeah, same.
Well, I feel like most college relationships are typically like, come over. There's not like...
No substance.
There's not... I mean, I could be wrong, but everyone's different. But the big thing is that men want peace. And you disagree with that?
No, I don't.
Oh.
I don't.
It's fine if you do. Just you laughed, so
No. Yeah.
It's okay if you disagree.
Well,
I'm not
because
going to be
who doesn't
upset.
want peace in the relationship?
Yeah,
you want to
everybody
be
wants
safe
peace.
and you want to feel loved by that person, and like if you're like always fighting, then like why be with that person?
But I mean, is that a common trope? Typically, men don't nag women, for example. You don't often hear men nagging women.
My ex, he would always nag all the time.
Don't slam on the table.
Sorry, but
and
yes, men do nag.
I want to give, and I feel like my previous comment, I do want to kind of give you some credit. When I say you're combative, I mean, obviously you've been invited on a podcast to debate these issues. So, obviously the way that you or anyone else on the panel conducts themselves in this specific environment is going to be to some degree different than how they conduct
Alvin
themselves
Sam
with a partner.
$49
Thank you, Alvin, man. Thank you.
99
Shoot me a DM.
cents. Nanny, you can't expect to be with a high-value man without him enforcing his standards. He will put you to work if you want him to provide. HVMs do not have tolerance for your incompetence. You struggle to answer very basic, fundamental questions.
So yeah, I mean, by the way, Alvin, thank you, man. Shoot me a DM on Instagram, whatever. So obviously the way that someone is going to engage when intentionally invited on a debate format like this is going to be different than how one conducts themselves with a romantic partner, for example. Like the way I'm discussing these topics with you is not particularly how I would, for example, conduct myself when I'm with a partner, for example, or with a girl I'm dating. Frankly, these sort of topics are the last things that I want to talk about with a romantic partner. But but I do sort of get the impression that, and perhaps it's in some ways it's good. I think being disagreeable, for example, if you want to be successful in business, that's a trait that you need to gather. However, I think when it comes to relationships, it's not something that men want or look for. Because the biggest thing that you can bring a guy, the biggest thing, don't forget looks, is if you can bring him peace. That is the biggest thing. Because, like, for example, a guy who's really, let's say he's very successful. He's going out into the world and it's a struggle. Business is hard. And if he makes a lot of money, and maybe some of you girls here don't really care about that, maybe at some point you will, especially if you want children, finances are going to become a much bigger factor for you as you get a bit older. But we're already combating with the world, going out there fighting in the business world, in the corporate world. The last thing we want to do is like have to come and contend with our partner. We want our partner to be our peace. So some people may disagree on that. Some people may agree, but I think that's the biggest thing that a girl can bring to a relationship is peace. Who do you think should pay on a first date?
I think it should be men. I would say men for the first date.
A lot of you said you were feminists, right? You believe in equality. But it's interesting when it comes to paying for the first date.
That's always
you want the guy to pay. How do you reconcile being in favor of equality, but also holding men to their traditional gender roles?
Yeah, see, they want the guy to pay, period.
I mean,
All right, guys, I got to tell you, I love it when I discover new content creators or content to react to. It makes my job a whole lot easier. And part of my job is to talk about Cuckoo for Cocoa Puff World, right? To talk about some of the crazies in our society.
Hold on. Where did that come from? How did that get switched
on the
up?
first date?
I think it should be men. I would say men for the first date.
A lot of you said you were feminists, right? You believe in equality. But it's interesting when it comes to...
Okay, I'm sorry. I totally messed up that one. Here, let's switch to this.
So it means, physically stronger.
Yeah, women and men carry their physical strengths in different areas of their body. Women are going to be stronger in some physical aspects than men are, and men are going to be stronger in other aspects.
Such as?
Women are, for example, I mean, it's no denying women have more strength in their legs naturally than guys tend to have.
What?
We are more prone to having more natural strength in our legs, whereas guys have a naturally more stronger upper body portion.
Is she nuts? Tell me you guys don't agree with this. I think she has no idea what she's talking about.
Women dominate sports.
Erroneous.
Women dominate which sports?
Women, I'm not specifying a single sport. Women dominate sports that have to do with leg strength, or flexibility.
Like soccer?
Yeah, actually.
So, so just to correct this, make sure that we're on the same page. Females have a higher proportion in lean mass in their lower limbs, so they have stronger limbs by 0.1%. men still have a significant amount of muscle strength difference in their legs than women.
Women are stronger in some aspects physically than men are, and men are stronger in some aspects more physically than women are. That's what I'm stating.
Well, if this was...
So according to WebMD directly, the question was asked, is it true that women have stronger legs than men? The response from a doctor, I would assume, no. Men have generally stronger leg muscles than women. The only disparity between men and women is in limbs. That's it.
Women are stronger in some ways physically than men are. Men are stronger in some ways physically than women are.
What ways physically?
That's simply what I'm stating.
The legs?
Yeah, but what ways physically are they stronger?
In my personal viewpoint, I have seen many women beat a man physically, and I've seen, not beat them as in beat them, but beat them as in like beat them in a physical aspect. Just as I have seen a man. I don't disagree that there's not some women out there who couldn't beat up some men. I totally agree with that, right? I mean, I've seen videos of it. I'm sure that it happens. I'm sure that it happens. I'm sure that there's some women out there who can beat up a good majority of men even. There's some women who could do that. But if we're talking about the average, if we're just asking about the average, I'm talking
on
about
average,
totality.
are men or women stronger?
I'm talking about the totality of it.
So yeah, so am I. So an average would be the totality of the mean, right?
Mm-hmm. The totalities in are all men stronger?
No, that's not the question. That's not. Can you repeat the question?
So the statement is, and it's asking if they disagree or agree, men are physically stronger than women.
It doesn't say most. It says are men.
Yeah, generally.
I mean, is it wrong to say the sky is blue? Sometimes the sky is gray.
So then when the sky's gray, the sky is gray.
Right, but so typically when you make a statement like this, for example, do humans have 10 fingers? Yes. Do some people have birth defects that they're born with an extra digit? Yes.
Or have a finger cut off?
If someone were to ask me, do humans have 10 fingers, I would say sometimes, most of the time.
Most of the time. Okay. So, generally speaking, are men physically stronger than women?
In my personal encounters, I've met more strong women than I've met strong men. So my standpoint.
Okay, if we remove.
No, you haven't.
Yeah.
In your personal experience, you've met more strong women than you have men. Really?
I mean, she could be hanging out with a bunch of like soy boys, so I mean,
strong.
It could be true, bro.
It's not possible.
It could be true, bro. Like all her male friends are soy boys.
How much more ridiculous bullshit are we gonna have to listen to from this woman? You know, most in your life, you have most definitely met way more men who are stronger than way more women.
No.
Yes.
And if you don't want ridiculous nonsense,
okay, well, let's find out. You grew up. I still have your little hometown here.
Seriously, I don't know what planet she's on, but
would you
one
say
of the
that
many towns.
On average, the black women in your hometown were on average stronger than the black men in your hometown?
Was I hanging out a bunch with people? No.
You said you were. You said that, in fact, you said you hung out with them so much that you wouldn't even date within your own race.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't say.
That, yes.
No. I said I wouldn't date within my own race.
You said you went to a school
No.
which was overwhelmingly black. My assumption is then that most people that you associated with were likely black. Am I incorrect there?
I went to a real school for a very short period of time because, as I also said before, I was mostly homeschooled, so no.
Hail and well met. LOL Paladins donated $200.02. Even Soy Boy California Burrito Fatty Eater Brian could do more push-ups than the entire rest of the panel combined.
Oh boy.
So when you went to this school,
I don't know,
was it your experience at the school that more women at the school were stronger than the men?
Didn't go to a real school for a long period of time, so I'm not talking about
Yeah, I know,
about
but for the period of time that you did go, was your
I didn't talk to anyone. I went to like not even a full year.
Yeah, I know. So within that time that you were there,
I didn't talk to people there.
Yeah, so within that time frame,
there's no time frame for that.
Yeah, so within that time frame, was it your experience that the men or the women were stronger on average?
My standpoint still stands. I'm not changing it.
Let me explore it really quick if that's fine, Andrew. Unless you have more, do you want more? Or?
Well, I just this is unfathomable. Like, you don't even have to double down on these positions. They're so stupid. Even the women who are listening to you are like, "What is this chick talking about? It's insanity." Here, just look. Let me demonstrate it. Show of hands. Just quick show of hands. Easy. Can anybody raise your hand if it was your experience when you went to school that the boys were usually stronger than the girls? Just by a quick hand raise.
I don't know. You might get the sisterhood on this one.
No, I don't think I'm going to get the sisterhood on
You got the
All
sisterhood
hands are
from
up
her.
except that one girl.
No, she raised her hand too.
Oh, okay. All right. So here, I'll explore it really quick. Just like get a couple examples out of the way. Soccer.
Mm-hmm.
You said like lower body strength. Women have more lower body strength, leg strength. So you would expect to see like soccer, which is mostly
That's kind
like
of like
lower
lung
body.
capacity, though.
Okay, so not soccer then. Like the women outcompete the men in soccer.
I think women are better at soccer than men, yes.
And let me, real quick, Brian, I just want to make sure you get this correction. Women are not, so I just had this researched out because I didn't know the answer. Women are not stronger in their lower body. They're only stronger in their lower body in proportion to their own upper body, not in comparison to men's lower body. Okay.
Yeah. No, I know exactly. And also, Andrew, I mean, I know you say it's ridiculous, but like, remember that one girl who said that her mom could beat up Brock Lesnar? I mean, it's not as ridiculous as that, of course.
Yeah, but the thing is like when I know that a person knows themselves that they're full of shit, I just lose interest, right? It's like once I know
Then
that the
move on.
person themselves knows that they're completely full of shit, I just, you know what
I'll
I mean?
skip it. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to trigger that. Go
No,
ahead.
I was just saying once I know that the person themselves knows that they're full of shit, I just lose interest. It's like no longer interesting.
All right. Ogle coming in here. It's going to take a sec to come back. Ogle, thank you for the TTS, man. Really appreciate it. So women better at soccer.
I think so.
Okay, so what if I told you they've actually like done this experiment? Ogle's about to come in. They've done this experiment where they'll match up like a professional female soccer team with like 50.
Ogle donated $200. Chef Ive is such a strong argument against homeschooling.
Were you homeschooled?
Yeah.
No, there you go.
Okay, we have Lol Paladins coming in here in just a sec, but so they've run this experiment. They'll set up a women's professional soccer team. They might have even done it maybe with I don't know if it was the Olympic team, but like Olympic team, maybe not in the US, but they've done in various other countries. They'll pair the professional adult women's soccer team with like the 15-year-old boys, and the 15-year-old boys will smoke the women. Yeah. Smoke them.
And I've said this whole time in my personal experience.
Right, but sometimes your personal experience doesn't map on to like
But
reality.
we're asking about my opinion, so that's my opinion.
Right, but like you could have your own personal experiences and still be able to like for example, like as a woman, you could be the strongest woman in the world, right? Not you, but like you, okay. Picture the strongest woman in the world, right? She's the strongest woman in the world. She's actually probably runs into men. There's a good chance that she's actually stronger than a lot of the men that she encounters. She would still be wrong to say that women are stronger than men, right?
I'm not saying women are stronger necessarily than men all in all, or that men are stronger all in all. I'm saying they're each stronger in their own ways.
Well, yeah, but we're asking how, and you're not really presenting a compelling argument.
Because they are.
So you said women's lower body strength. So like, for example,
in my experience.
Do you go to the gym at all? Do you work out?
Yes.
Do you do squats?
Not squats, no.
Are you familiar with the exercise?
Yes.
So you know how there's like world records for like
I don't pay
lifting?
attention to that.
Okay, so if I were to tell you that there's no woman, the world record holder for the woman's squat across all weight divisions, no woman lifts more in the squat, which has to do with your lower body strength, than even probably the top 100 men who are the top in terms of their squat.
Well, there's also different types of physical strengths. That would be gym weight strength, Whereas there's also practical strength. There's also strength as in fighting. There's strength as in.
Hey, actually, that's fair. You know, if women on average are strong or stronger than men, as you previously stated, and you changed your answer just now, then why did you pick the bear? You can just kick the man's ass, right?
I picked the bear because I want to play with a bear.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Hold on. Lol Paladins is coming in here. Thank you, Lol. Sorry for the
Hail
late.
and well met. Lol Paladins donated $200.02. The only thing keeping women safe is the fact that the vast majority of men are actually not bad men. If any man wanted to hurt you, they could. Take comfort that men do not want to hurt women, not 40%.
That is an interesting point. The benevolence of men. Wait, so hold on. Going back to this, you said like for fighting, women are stronger. Like women can.
No, I simply stated there are many different kinds of physical strengths.
But you mentioned fighting.
Now she says that.
I said there's practical strength. I said there's weight strength, as in like going to the gym. How much can you weigh?
So what would be an
lift?
example of practical strength? Lifting up a box?
How long can someone stand on their feet all day when they're working a shift? There's tons of stuff.
Women have higher pain tolerance.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm just gonna save time and
strength, though.
I'll just move along.
Yeah. And Brian, I'm at 3 a.m. my time. So I got my hard cut at 3.
Yeah, shoot us a raid, man. Thank you. By the way, Andrew.
Yeah, we're going to send the raid over, of course.
Create your World of Warcraft character, Andrew.
We're doing it. When are we playing next?
They're playing.
You just hop in whenever you feel like it?
Yeah, just create your character. You're what, undead mage?
All right, I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it for tonight. I gotta find some good clips, good discussions, and have our own discussions with the stuff. I'm gonna give you a taste of that. Hey, whoever's left, thank you for hanging out with me for a little bit. Didn't expect to go this long, but I appreciate you.
All right, have a good night.
And I will see you guys tomorrow. And like I said, Bam did say like Saturday we get together. Sorry, Tuesday or Wednesday we will get together on live. So anyway, I will be back tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.